Away everyone, this is Regulus Pastor. Welcome back to Higurashi no Naku Koro ni. This is Watanagashi-hen, no, sorry. This is Himatsubushi-hen, the fourth and last question arc of the 8 main arcs. And, well, we're going to be having ourselves a time. We bested Oishi, his informant who went by Sato, and who turned out to be the foreman of the dam construction, at Mahjong with secret skills that Akasaka had honed previously, but had retired when his now wife pressured him to give up the tile, as it were. So we heard from the informant then, and they had a council meeting last night, and Sonozakis were pretty tough, and they were careful to eliminate any dispute within the council. And it came up that we were in town, so they apparently knew about us. That whole time we were pretending to be just a tourist, and they said nothing. So I'll make things interesting. But let's load her up. We got some tips to read, so let's do those first. The investigation runs the ground.
昨日銀座の料亭でお会いしてね。
Yeah.
そういう話が出たんだよ。
Yeah. Yesterday when we met at the restaurant in Ginza, that topic popped up.
別室の謁見でしょう。連中、公安に干渉しすぎですよ。
They're overstepping their boundaries, isn't it? That's overstepping their boundaries, isn't it? They're meddling too much with public safety.
あまり迎合すると悪い洗礼を残しますね。
If they keep doing that, they're going to set a bad precedent.
犬飼大臣は公安の動きに不快感をあらわにしているらしい。多分月曜の町議で次官からその旨の話が出るんじゃないかと思う。
I forgot what they're already talking about. Oh, we don't know yet. Okay. It seems that Minister Inukai is openly uncomfortable about the way public safety is doing things. The Vice Minister is probably going to say something to that effect during Monday's debate session.
参ったな。
But what can you do?
次官へは局長級に話つけてもらうしかないですよ。給料を多くもらってる人の当然の仕事ってことで。
Can you stop? Thank you. We can only have the director address the vice minister. That's why we pay him the big bucks.
まあそうなると局長からは絶対に大臣脅迫の物証を求められるよな。
Well, if it comes to that, they're going to ask him for proof that the minister's being threatened. Let's see.
あの人、たまにどっちの味方かわかんなくなりますね。うちらの味方しなくてどうすんのっての。
Sometimes I don't know what side he's on. If he's not on ours, then what?
まあ多分大臣を経由しての圧力だと思ってるけどね。俺が時間室で油汗かいて時間稼ぐ間に調査進めてもらうしかないよな。
Well, he's probably just getting some pressure from the minister. We'll probably just have to proceed with the investigation while he sweats it out in the vice minister's office and buys us some time.
全身の汗絞られて絞りかすになっちゃうかもしれないけどな。
You might get so wrung out to dry that all be left are dregs, though. Okay. Let's see.
でどうなの調査の進行は。
So, how's the investigation going?
期待してた濃厚なラインがことごとく外れて正直途方に暮れてます。
All the juicy leads I was pinning my hopes on turned out to be duds. Honestly, I'm at a loss.
最近の大臣発言をまとめると、Hinamizawaダムの計画の話が目立つっていう報告を聞いたけど、それはどうなの？
There are reports that the Hinamizawa Dam project has been showing up a lot lately in the minister's press releases, so what about that?
目立つっていうか、本当に微細な程度の違和感ですね。
Well, you say showing up, but it's really more of a very slight feeling that something's strange.
たまたま県議連でのスピーチだったから、時事ネタを話しただけかもしれないし。
He just happened to mention it during his speech at the prefectural forum, so it just might have been something that he was mentioning because it was relevant at the time.
確か地元団体が過激に抵抗してるってやつだっけ？鬼ヶ淵死守同盟。
If I remember correctly, a local organization there was protesting quite violently, no? The Onigachi Defense Alliance.
確か赤坂君に調べてもらってたよね。
I think Akasaka-kun was investigating that.
僕は連中には今回の事件は起こせないと踏んでいます。ですが、疑わしいところのほとんどが真っ白な以上、疑いの枠から外すわけにはいかないかもですね。
I knew better to walk into that one. I think those guys could possibly be behind what's happening now. Even if we can't say there's anything overtly suspicious about them, it might not be prudent to remove them from the picture.
赤坂君からはその可能性は否定できないとの軽い報告は受けています。
Akasaka-kun reported in passing that he couldn't deny that possibility.
なら調べてみる価値はあるんじゃないの？しらみつぶしなんだから、残る疑わしい団体がそこ一つならやるしかないでしょ。
Then isn't there merit in investigating them? We're going through everything with a fine-toothed comb, so if they're one of the suspicious groups that are left, we'll eventually have to.
まあ、調べる団体はそこだけじゃないんですがね。
Well, they're not the only group we should investigate, right?
鬼ヶ淵と同じ程度のレベルで疑わしい団体になると、もうそう人手も時間も残業代も全然足りません。
Let me see if I could find the sound file, so I can actually play it. Oh wait, it wouldn't be there. No. Would it be here?
赤坂君からさ、もうちょっと詳しく聞いてみてよ。俺はちょっと要注意に感じるけどな、その死守同盟。
Oh, shut up. Let me see. If we're just talking about groups that are suspicious. Okay, I may have found it. It says it's in there, why is it not showing up? Alright. Ah, it doesn't have the sound files. Oh well, screw it. Screw it. If we're just talking about groups that are suspicious as Onigafuchi, there's quite a few of them. We don't have the men, the time, or the money for it all. I'll try asking for more details from Akasaka-kun. I feel like we should pay some extra attention to this defense alliance.
彼、村人とうまく接触できたって連絡してきました。現地の警察とも連携できてるみたいですね。
He's reported that he's established a rapport with the villagers. It seems that he's collaborating with the local police. It also seems that he's collaborating with the local police.
赤坂君との連絡密にしてください。それで彼からの情報が引っかかるようであれば、増援を送ることもありということで。
Keep your contact with Akasaka-kun on the down low. Also, if there's anything in his info that merits investigation, it's possible we could send reinforcements.
わかりました。
Got it.
あ、すいません、片岡市長。局長からお電話です。
Sorry, Chief Kataoka. There's a phone call from the director.
こっちに回しますか。
Should I transfer it over here?
ああ、いい、そっち行きます。
No, it's okay. I'll head over there.
もしもし。
Yes, hello. So the chief's name is Kataoka. Interesting. What's in the box? What's in the box? I had to. I did it last time. I'll do it again. Do you believe that there are choices in life? There are many people who lament the following. If there only existed points in life where there were clear choices to make, we would be able to scrutinize those carefully and make decisions that would lead us to a better future. Every time I hear people lament as such, I cast it off as a rather trivial worry. There only exist points in life there. Even if you were given a clear choice, it wouldn't be meaningful at all, and there wouldn't be any such path to a better future. Is this hard to understand? Then let's pretend that in front of you there are two strange boxes. In other words, you have two clear choices. Do you open the red box or the blue box? A lot of things would be uncertain even with that choice, would they? If you don't have the option of opening neither, then your choice boils down to the natural impulse of opening the box that holds the better result for you. Then, after examining the shape and features of each, and pondering a great many things, you have to pick either the red or the blue. The orange will officially commence at 10:43 p.m. If this was you, which box would you open? Red or blue? I already forget what I read. Alright. Let's see. If you were to go by their traditional meanings, then red would be a dangerous, threatening color. However, that doesn't automatically mean that it would be calm and relaxing inside the blue box either. In fact, it might even be that the colors are a trap, make you wary of the red box, and have you open the blue. A trap? Could it be the contents of the box aren't a reward, but rather a penalty? See? Now you're at a loss. You're so conflicted over the choice between red and blue that you've started wishing there is an option to open neither and just leave. But there isn't. You have to open either the red box or the blue box. Oh, I forgot to say this, but if you choose one box, the other will disappear. So you'll never know the contents of the box you don't open. I'll just put that rule at the end there for you. Now, why don't you choose the red box or the blue box? It's alright. You won't lose anything by picking either one. Come on now. Oh, darn. Let's go Matrix style and take the red pill. Have you thought about it? In the end, you chose this color, didn't you? As soon as you chose, the other box disappeared. So you can give up on the contents of that one, okay? That's the rule. Now, open up the box you chose. Inside the box there was a piece of caramel. I don't like caramel candies. I know you're a little disappointed. Well, that's only natural. No matter how you look at it, it looks like you drew the dud. I think the blue box would have something similarly disappointing. The correct box might have had a bar of chocolate in it for all you know. No, in fact, something incredible like a pair of tickets to Hawaii might have been in there. But even if you wanted to verify that, the other box has already disappeared. There's no way you can check now. But if you think about it from an optimistic point of view, just maybe, the other box was empty, and this box was the winner. And being satisfied, or perhaps not, with such a cheap prize, you pop it into your mouth and start chewing it happily. So, what do you think in the end? If you were given a second chance, would you try to open the other box? But unfortunately, the chance to choose between the red box or the blue box has come and gone, never to be seen again. The chance to change your selection will never come. Don't your parents often say, every choice you make in life only happens once, so choose carefully? See, choices aren't that great after all. Aren't you a little disillusioned now? I know, the blue box has got to be something crappy too. And I can cheat and look it up later on, just to verify. What would it say if I were to try this again? I'm just curious. Alright. It did let us choose. Have you thought about it? In the end, you chose this color, didn't you? As soon as you chose, the other box disappeared. So you can give up on the contents of that one, okay? That's the rule. Now, open up the box you chose. Inside the box there was a stick of chewing gum. You know, I'd rather take that over caramel. A piece of caramel candy. Both can give you TMJ, but I really don't like caramel candies. Right now you're thinking, that's it? Haha, it recorded the answer. That's right. The contents of the red box and the blue box were a piece of caramel and a stick of chewing gum. You might have thought you made the wrong choice before, but now seeing them together like this, you can't really say that either choice was the wrong one. Well, I guess everybody has their personal preferences. If you prefer caramel to gum, for example, you're definitely thinking of choosing to open the box again based on that preference. The clear choices you wanted were basically this: the selfish desire to open up both boxes and compare the contents, then pick the one most suited to you. But you see, reality's the same as this game. If you pick one, the one you didn't choose disappears. So there's no way you could check the result. If at that time, if you had done this, or perhaps if you had done that, then it wouldn't be hard to imagine that you could be happier, or perhaps less happy, than you are right now. In the end, you only have the pleasure of approving or of being disappointed by the choice that you did make. But that's fine. After all, didn't you enjoy the thrill of making the choice? If, like now, you knew the contents of both boxes, then the choice between the red box or the blue box would just be a waste of time. Because instead of this boring game about boxes, you could be looking at the quickly changing evening summer sky, listening for the distant sound of thunder, and pondering if it's going to rain or not. That would be much more fun. I didn't even take in that last thing. What was that? Okay. The glint in the demon's eye. Excuse me.
はい。それでお通夜が明日の午後6時からになりまして、告別式があさってのお昼12時から13時までになりまして。
Okay, I need to get a new box of tissues because I'm out. So I'm gonna run downstairs quick, and I'll be back. All right. I'm back. Okay. Yes. So the wake will be from 6 p.m. tomorrow, and the service will be the day after from noon until 1. What wake?
会場は沖宮セレモニーホールになります。
The venue will be Okinomiya Ceremony Hall.
か池澤助役のお孫さんの葬式じゃ何にも挨拶なしってわけにもいかんね。
Huh. I see. It's Deputy Mayor Ikezawa's grandson's funeral we're talking about. We have to pay our respects.
みよ、代わりに出てえな。
Mule, I'll have you go in my stead.
うん、了解。喪服で行く？
Okay, got it. Should I wear mourning clothes?
香典はいくらくらい？
How much should I bring for the funeral offering?
学校の服でえんね。前のボタンちゃんと留めてくんねよ。
You can go in your school uniform. Make sure you button it up properly.
香典は5万。10万包んだりな。
So I guess $1,000 about. For the money, 50... No, 100,000 yen.
世話になったかな。
They've done a lot for us. Myung quietly whistled in awe at the exorbitant amount of money her grandmother was offering.
池澤さんはな、沖宮の事務所長だった頃からしっかりした人だったね。役人は挨拶って言っても絶対に玄関までしか来ん。
Ikezawa-san's been a prudent person ever since his days as head of the Okinomiya Municipal Office. Even if those government types paid me a visit, they'd always stay outside.
でもな、池澤さんはわしがお茶を勧めるといっつも上がってくれて、ちゃんと話を聞いてくれた。人の話を最後まで聞く。本当に鏡みたいな人だったんね。
But whenever I offered Ikezawa-san a cup of tea, he'd come inside and carefully listen to what I had to say. He always lent a proper ear to what people had to say. Others should learn from a person like him. The two guests made a show of nodding, making it clear that they were paying attention as Oryo reminisced. The sight of them trying not to get on Orio's bad side was humorous enough to elicit laughter from Mion occasionally.
で、池澤助役のお孫さんはいくつで亡くなったんねん。
How young was Deputy Mayor Ikezawa's grandson when he died?
11歳だそうで。
11 years old, apparently. Orio closed her eyes and shook her head lightly, lamenting the loss of such a young life.
確か、孫は一人だ言うてんな。
If I
か
recall...
わいそうにな。
Just go away. Go away. Stop interrupting me. Come back when your stuff's properly coded, okay? If I recall correctly, he said he had only one grandchild. How sad.
親より先に死ぬほどの親不幸はあるめな。
There's nothing worse for a parent than outliving their offspring.
ばっちゃんも他人には優しいね。You're really nice to other people, Granny. 私やシオンが死んだら同じように悲しんでくれる？ If Shion or I died, would you be this sad?
アホん抜かすんでね。演技でもねすったなんと。シャラーまったく。
Don't be stupid. Saying something like that is bad luck. Having got the reaction she expected, Mion cackled. The two guests, unsure if they were supposed to laugh along, instead forced awkward smiles.
それでは本日は失礼いたします。では明日の夕方5時にお迎えに参りますんで。
We'll take our leave for today then. We'll be by tomorrow evening at 5 to pick you up.
よろしくお願いいたします。
Until then,
ではごめんくださいませ。
please excuse us. After bowing their heads repeatedly, the guests left by the front door. Mion saw them off, waving her little hand goodbye.
帰ったよ。
They're
お役
gone.
人もばっちゃのご機嫌伺いに大変だね。
Shush, Mion. They're gone. It must be rough for them to pay you a courtesy visit, Granny.
不法なんか電話でいいと思うのにね。
It would have been fine if they just broke the news over the phone. Getting a toothache. I'm gonna use some of this glophatus on it. Well, it was true that Sonozaki Oryo was a central person for both her relatives and the residents of Hinamizawa village as a whole. As a voting bloc, they numbered in the several thousands. It wasn't hard to imagine the mayor would try to pander to her. 1 second. Unlike Mion, however, Oryo was looking up longingly at the sky from the veranda. Okay.
どうしたの？猛録した？
What's the matter? Are you going senile?
誰のお孫さんであろうと気の毒だのう思ったんよ。
I just thought that no matter whose grandchild it was, I'd feel sorry for them. Saying that, she let out a deep sigh. Mion was let down, as normally her grandmother would have scolded her for her attitude.
みよ、
Mion,
これ例の大臣の孫。
you know, that minister's grandson.
さらわれてからどのくらいになる？
How long has it been since he was abducted?
うん。 4日かな。4 days maybe?
Oryo let out another deep sigh.
旧敵の孫とはいえ気の毒だな。
He may be the grandchild of our bitter enemy, but I still feel sorry for him.
そう。
Really?
十分気はせいたんろ。そろそろ終わりにしちゃれな。
That's enough of a warning. We should bring this to an end soon. The playful expression drained from Mion's face, leaving behind a stern one. And then, as if to ascertain Oryo's will, looked into her eyes. Oryo, expressing her intention with only those eyes, looked back into Mion's.
お茶が欲しいんで頼んでな。さっきのチョコレートも食べといね。
I want some tea. Could you call for some? Some of that chocolate too. Mion gave a small nod, then turned around.
シミコさん、いますか？抹茶に紅茶入れてあげてください。シミコさん、are you there? Grandma wants some tea. Could you prepare some?
Now, she said, actually, matcha and kocha. Matcha is a specific kind of green tea. It's made from, like, ground up powder. And then kocha is black tea. It literally means burnt tea, which is how black tea is made. From far away, a voice responded in the affirmative. Hi! Mion, after confirming she'd been heard, picked up the phone and began dialing.
あ、もしもし、ミオンだけど。
Hello? This is Mion.
うん、
Yeah.
うちのお父さん。
Is my
います。
father there? All right. Let us continue. I had a restless night's sleep. I did nothing but turn over repeatedly during a night that seemed like it lasted for eternity. Even then, I eventually fell asleep at some point, not realizing how high in the sky the sun had risen. I shook off the urge to go back to sleep. It was then I noticed the phone was ringing. The time was almost 10:30 in the morning. It was clearly too late for a wake-up call.
赤坂さんですか？
Phone simulator time. No. I'll use this. 赤坂さんですか？
おはようございます。大石です。
Code switched. Good morning, it's Oishi. Waking up to the sound of Oishi's voice was a little too much of a shock. Should be a little. My delicate ears were ringing, but thanks to that shock, I was suddenly wide awake.
ああ、どうも。
Hello.
おはようございます。
Good morning. Darn it, he's making me feel tired. Yawn more. Ugh.
ひょっとして今お目覚めですか？
Could it be you just woke up?
出張中とはいえ勤務時間には起きないといけませんよ。
Let me do that one sentence again. Could it be you just woke up? Sorry, let me do it. Could it be you just woke up? Even though you're on assignment, it's still not good to be asleep during regular business hours.
まったくです。
You're absolutely right.
以後、気をつけます。
I'll be more careful in the future.
あなたの眠気をもう一つ覚ましてあげられるかもしれない話があります。
I have another tidbit that might wake you up even more.
ひなみざわ駐在所から届いた遺失物に興味深いものが混じっていたんです。
There was something interesting mixed in with the lost and found at the Hinamizawa police box.
遺失物
Lost and found?
詳しい話はこちらにいらっしゃってからにしましょう。
Let's leave the details for when you get here.
お昼前に来れますか？
You think you'll be able to make it before noon?
いえ、すぐに伺います。
But no, I'll be there right away. Oishi already knew what my mission was. Since Oishi said it was something that would wake me up, it was hard to believe that it would be irrelevant to me. Honestly speaking, judging by the information from Sato-san yesterday, knowing that my cover was already blown, I couldn't wander to and from Hinamizawa carelessly. In other words, my investigation was at an impasse. If there was some information that could put me back on the trail, that would be nothing less of a stroke of good fortune. After vigorously washing my face, I pulled on my jacket and hailed a taxi, heading towards the Okinomiya police station.
おお、来た来た。
Oh, you're here.
天才ジャンシ様の到着だ。
The genius Mahjong player has arrived.
遅くなって申し訳ありません。
My apologies for being late.
で、一体何が出たんですか？
So, exactly what popped up? With absolutely no intention of reminiscing about last night's Mahjong game, I pressed him to get to the point. Oishi, anticipating that I would act that way, cut to the chase without any resistance.
先ほども申し上げましたが、今朝ひなみ沢の駐在所から遺失物が届きました。
Like I said earlier, something arrived from the Hinamizawa police box is lost and found this morning.
Lost items that were turned over to the police box were sent to Okinomiya Station after the paperwork was filled out. Oishi pulled out a plastic bag from a drawer and laid its labeled contents on the desk.
財布ですか？
Is that a wallet?
でしょうな。
Indeed.
中には小銭はあってもお札はなかったもんなんで。
There's small change inside, but no bills.
スリが中身を抜いた後に捨ててったのかななんて思ったんですがね。
We thought that a pickpocket threw it away after pulling out the contents.
最初は。
At first.
I don't understand how this wallet, so far removed from Tokyo, could possibly be related to the kidnapping. If it had drawn Oishi's attention, it would have to be something dramatic, like if the wallet belonged to the missing grandchild. That would be absurd. Like something that convenient would happen. If that were it, then there were probably initials written on the wallet. Like the initials of Inukai Toshiki, the minister's grandson, IT. Ito, probably. Thinking like that, at this point I didn't suppose that this wallet was something that could get Oishi so excited. Oishi, after putting on a pair of disposable plastic gloves, handed me a pair of the same. I didn't feel that this wallet was such an important thing, so I had my doubts about whether there were any point in putting on gloves. However, I didn't want Oishi's intentions to go to waste, so I put them on. Oishi opened up the plastic bag and pulled it out, showing me the back. As I had imagined, there were initials engraved there, but it was slightly more detailed than what I had thought, with Toshiki-i marked on it. Toshiki marked on it. Oishi grinned at me with a look on his face that said, "See?" We can't confirm from that this belongs to the minister's grandson, I informed him calmly. This wallet was irrelevant. It was nothing more than Oishi's over-eagerness. First of all, there's absolutely no way in this distant locale that the missing grandson's wallet would be found with such convenient timing. After all, the Onegafuchi Defense Alliance wasn't related to the case in the first place. So there was no way this wallet belonged to the grandson. Why I wanted to decide that was the case, even I didn't really know. Even though what should have been a top-secret case was leaked before I had even been dispatched. In this situation, how could I say this was definitely unrelated? Would it be more prudent to pay more attention to this wallet? It had only been a couple of days since I arrived in Hinamizawa. But in those couple of days, due to the number of remarkable events, my nerves might have become just a little frayed. Shaking my head slightly, I cleared it of unnecessary thoughts. Oishi opened the wallet's zipper, revealing contents. Inside was small change and a number of crumpled receipts. Pulling a nail. There's a little live bit of nail, but it's sticking out. So I had to do it. Otherwise it would snag even worse. Oish, from that jumble, pulled out a folded card. Seeing that, my heart stopped for a moment. It was a card from a dental examination. The name Inukai Toshiki, and the age. A perfect match. The dentist location was in Tokyo. There was no need to explain any further. How far was it from Tokyo to Hinamizawa? It was far enough that taking the bullet trains and cars would still take several hours. Why would a wallet with a dental examination card from Tokyo inside show up in Hinamizawa? Could it belong to a tourist who came from Tokyo? Or maybe a villager on vacation to Tokyo just happened to pay a visit to the dentist? No, it had to have fallen into somebody's bag by accident. In my mind, I desperately struggled to find a possible excuse as to why this wallet didn't belong to Inukai Toshiki. It was as if it just wouldn't do for this wallet to belong to him. However, weeding out any possibility for error one by one. The haze surrounding the wallet in front of me faded, gradually letting it come into clear focus.
Ne?
See?
I felt a shiver of electricity run up my spine. My pulse quickened, and a thin film of sweat began to coat my entire body. From Oishi's point of view, I was probably slack-jawed and spaced out, with a slovenly look on my face.
この歯科には問い合わせましたか?
Did you get information from the dental office?
そりゃ赤坂さんの仕事でしょ?
That's your job, Akasaka-san.
私はまだそこまでは。
I didn't go that far.
この財布はいつ頃のものでしょうね?
Oh, so he's a job's worth. I was watching an episode of Twin Peaks, and this English character from the East End of London was explaining the phrase job's worth. It describes somebody can't be bothered to do more than what they say their job's worth. So, that's Oishi right now. Where did this wallet show up?
拾ったのは村人です。
The person who picked it up was a villager.
昨日のことだそうで。
They did so yesterday, it seems.
じゃなくて、この財布はいつ頃落ちたものでしょうね?
Not that. I mean, when was this wallet dropped? What did he really ask before? When this wallet show up?
ここいらに雨があったのはちょうど先週7日前。
It rained here last week, exactly 7 days ago.
中身が水にやられた様子はないから、最長で6日前からでしょうね。
Exactly 7 days ago. It doesn't look like the contents are water damage, so the longest it could be would probably be 6 days.
この財布の存在は署内で誰が知ってます?
Does anybody else at the station have knowledge of the existence of this wallet?
初期対応のひなみざわ駐在所の警官。
The officer first encountered it at the Hinamizawa police box.
それから遺失物対応で係が2、3人。
And also the 2 or 3 people in charge of the lost and found.
あとは私とあなた。
Other than that, it's just me and you.
内緒の事件と関係があったらまずいでしょ?
If it's involved in a classified case, it'd be bad to talk about, wouldn't it?
ベラベラとは喋ってないつもりですよ。
I don't intend to wag my tongue.
電話を借りていいですか?
May I borrow a phone?
どうぞどうぞ。
Go ahead.
外線は0発信から。
Dial 0 to get an outside line.
I dialed the phone number inscribed on the examination card. I could hear my pulse pounding inside my head. Could there possibly be something so absurd? The addresses on the receipts and cards inside the wallet were all from around the area where the grandson lived. The name on the examination card was also a match. The time we deduced that the wallet had been left behind also matched up with the timeline of the kidnapping. Of course, it was possible I could just laugh it off. It's all a big pile of coincidences. There wasn't any strong evidence. Rather than all this circumstantial proof, the contents of the phone call I was about to make would have a much greater meaning.
はい、お待たせしました。
Phone simulator again?
Hello. Sorry to keep you waiting.
中川歯科です。
This is the dental office.
どうも。こちらは沖宮署です。
Hello, this is the police.
実はお財布の落とし物がありまして、所有者の連絡先を探しております。
I have a misplaced wallet here and I'm trying to get in contact with the owner.
ご協力をいただいてもよろしいでしょうか。
Would you be able to help me?
お財布の中にそちら様の診察カードが入っておりまして。
Inside the wallet, there is an examination card from your office.
え
え。Yes.
氏名は犬飼俊樹くんです。
The name is Inukai Toshiki.
カードの番号を申し上げますので、電話番号をお調べいただいてもよろしいでしょうか。
If I give you the number on the card, will you be able to look up the phone number?
ええ。ありがとうございます。
Yes. Thank you. If
お
you could.
願いできますか。
This dialogue coding is so bad in this arc. Still holding the receiver, I pulled out a notebook from my breast pocket with my free hand. I opened it up to the page with the grandson's address and phone number recorded on it.
どうもすみません。
Yes, hello.
はい。お願いします。
Yes, go ahead. I compared the phone number written in my notebook to the one that was being read out on the other end of the line. During that process, I spun around to look behind me uneasily. I locked eyes with Oishi. Oishi looked puzzled, wondering what the matter was. Why would I feel uneasy and look behind me? That was because the person on the end of the line was reading out the numbers as though doing so straight from my notebook. It seemed that HQ was in quite an uproar thanks to my report. No matter how many times the authenticity of the evidence that I had linked to the grandson was called into question, I could only respond that it was the truth. When the lead investigator first picked up the phone, I was thrilled about the evidence I'd found that it was almost too good to be true, if I do say so myself. But after having doubt after doubt dispelled, he fell into silence. The receiver was finally handed over to the section chief. When he picked it up, the background thrum on the other end of the line disappeared, and I knew that it had gone completely silent. After asking the same questions about the wallet that the lead investigator did, the chief quietly spoke his next words.
わかりました。
Got it.
こちらから何人か増援を送ります。
We'll dispatch several people as reinforcements.
今日の夕方には到着できるでしょう。
They should be able to make it there by evening.
赤坂君は引き続き現地調査をお願いします。
Akasaka-kun, please continue with your investigation of the area.
財布が発見された地域の情報を収集しててください。
Get some information on the spot where the wallet was found.
加納さんは何人か選んで現地へ直接。
Kano-san will select some people and head directly there.
The fact that he was sending Kano, the lead investigator here, that meant that the chief decided there was a possibility that the Onigashi Defense Alliance was somehow implicit in the kidnapping. However, it felt as though until the lead investigator, whom he trusted, had verified the evidence with his own eyes, he was still going to be skeptical about it.
どうでした？
How'd it go?
本庁から増援が出発するそうです。
It seems that HQ is sending reinforcements.
私は現地調査を命じられました。
I was ordered to investigate the area.
財布の落ちていた場所はどこなんです？
Where is the wallet dropped?
高津戸のあたりだそうです。
Around Takatsukuto, apparently.
ここが沖宮。
This is Okinomiya.
ずーっと行ってここがhinamizawa。
All the way over here, this is Hinamizawa.
でさらに上流にぐーっと上がっていくとこの辺が高津戸です。
Then even further upstream, way up around here, is Takatsuto.
Oishi explained where the wallet was found by pointing to locations on the map on the wall. This place called Takatsuto was even more remote than Hinamizawa was.
高津戸界隈はほとんど民家なんかありませんよ。
There's hardly anybody living in the area around Takatsuto.
昔の廃村です。
It was deserted a long time ago.
無人の家屋が点在するなんとも寂しいあたりですね。
It's littered with abandoned houses, so it's really quite desolate around there.
大石さん、
Oishi-san,
高津戸へ案内してもらうことはできますか？
could I ask you to guide me to Takatsuto?
ええ、構いませんよ。
Yeah, I don't mind.
赤坂さんお一人ではなかなか自由にhinamizawaに出入りはできないでしょうからね。
Excuse me.
Can't really get in and out of Hinamizawa as you please by yourself after all.
無論また野球帽とマスクをしてもらうことになりますが。
Of course, I'll have to make you wear the cap and mask again.
That Oishi had agreed to accompany me was very reassuring. If Sato-san's info was to be believed, my cover had been blown. Typo. I wasn't sure if the villagers had realized that the fresh meat dispatched for public safety was the tourist that had visited the village yesterday. In other words, me. Deciding that they hadn't noticed would have been overly optimistic. Given a cursory thought, Takatsudo, where the wallet was found, couldn't be ruled out as a hiding spot for the kidnappers. The Takatsudo area didn't have any residential buildings, nor was it alongside a highway. There wasn't a reason for even locals to go out of their way to visit it. It was exactly what you would call a long-forgotten ghost town at the end of the road. You couldn't ask for a better place to hold a kidnapped grandson. Also, you couldn't get to Takatsudo without passing through Hinamizawa first. Those several conditions made the area all the more important. I couldn't brush it off any longer. There was no longer any doubt that Onigachi Defense Alliance or somebody hired by them were involved in the kidnapping. If that was the case, then the fact that this wallet was found might have already been linked to them. They even knew so much as how the Public Safety Division was operating. The case of the wallet couldn't be something they didn't know. In that case, there was a possibility that the enemy was lying in wait. To dive alone into enemy territory surrounded by enemy territory, to say the least, required an amount of courage, nay, recklessness, that I just did not have.
大石さんの同行がなければ、そうおいそれと踏み込めない村でしたので。
Without your company, Oishi-san, I wouldn't be able to step into the village so easily.
ご協力いただけて本当に助かりました。
Thank you very much for your cooperation.
正直なところ、またお金を要求されるのではと思ってましたよ。
Honestly, I thought you would ask for more money.
それは正直を言えば、ひなみ沢なんか好き好んで行きたがないですからね。
Well, if we're being honest, Hinamizawa isn't exactly a place I'd like to go to.
運賃でも弾んでもらいたい気分ですが。
I'd at least appreciate it if you paid for cab fare.
でも、一緒にタコを囲んだ友人の頼みとあれば、断るわけにはいきませんしね。
Still, it's not a request I could refuse from a friend that's played the same table as me.
Oishi grinned as he pounded me on the back. It struck me that he just didn't want to jump ship rather than having any sort of sense of duty towards his job. Even so, that didn't really matter. Right now, I really appreciated the gesture.
では、早速出してもらえますか。
Well then, shall we hurry up and get going? If the enemy knew that the police had obtained the wallet, then they would probably have moved the hostage to a different place. There wasn't a moment to lose. But Oishi, without regard to the fact that we were about to head out, began to remove his jacket.
何をしてるんですか。
What are you doing?
まあ用心ですよ。
Well, just a precaution.
家中の栗を拾うなら相応の用意が必要と思いましてね。
If you want me to poke the beehive to get your honey, I have to be rather well prepared, you see.
あなたも来ます。
You want to put one on too?
What Oishi pulled from the drawer below the desk was a stab-proof vest. His name was Inukai Toshiki, the grandson of the Minister of Construction, Inukai. There was only one reason for him being here. If you didn't include gym or art class, his grades were above average. That was a result of having private tutoring sessions twice a week. If you omitted the fact that he still couldn't do pull-ups, there wasn't much else that would make him hate school. Of course, he understood full well that his grandfather was a cabinet minister. But he also knew that not too many people were that interested in their relationship. He didn't like to go out of his way to bring up his grandfather, or to call him the Minister of Construction. And finally, he at least tried to know a little bit more about what kind of work the Minister of Construction did than your average Joe. What that entailed was that when you tried your best to make life better for the masses, sometimes you made a few enemies. He knew that all too well from the time he spent as class representative. His grandfather had many enemies. He knew that he might personally catch some of that fallout, so he had to be twice as cautious. He was taught that by his parents. That's why, the moment he was kidnapped, he instantly knew that this was one of those occasions. He understood that he wasn't being treated as Inukai Toshiki, the person, but rather as Inukai Toshiki, the grandson of the Minister of Construction. That he wasn't personally at fault, but that this was the result of some unavoidable trouble with his grandfather's work. It made little difference, but when he realized it wasn't because of anything he did, he was able to relax, if only a little. Of course, at first he was struck with a terror befitting his age, wondering what was going to happen to him. But after a while of being tied up and only able to stay lying down, he began to ponder a great many things. First, he thought about the reason he was being abducted like this. He understood the answer to that easily. He was taken hostage to coerce his grandfather, the minister. There's no doubt about that. He didn't know exactly what the Minister of Construction did, but it was easy to imagine that there was much to be gained from threatening him. He respected his grandfather more than most. He earnestly believed that his own grandfather was within the top 20 of the most important people in Japan. That was exactly why he wouldn't forgive anybody who tried to threaten his beloved grandfather. More importantly, he wouldn't forgive anybody who would use him as a tool to threaten his grandfather. His grandfather was really busy and rarely had time to meet with relatives. That's why, with what little time he did manage to scrape together, he just dropped by unannounced. And as an apology for not being able to meet during New Year's or summer vacation, he doted on his grandson very, very much. The number of times that Toshiki was looked upon with disregard just because his grandfather was a politician and a minister certainly weren't few. But he never thought even once that he wanted his grandfather to quit being a politician. Because it was his beloved grandfather, he wanted him to continue his career as long as possible from the bottom of his heart. However, Toshiki was now being held hostage, and his grandfather was being threatened. His grandfather, who called him the apple of his eye, was surely suffering. He might do anything to save his grandson, maybe even putting aside his ideology if it was required to save his grandson. He might cave into the culprit's demands if it meant saving his grandson. When Toshiki thought about that, an inexplicable anger welled up within him. In his current situation, he was unable to forgive the cowards who would make his beloved grandfather suffer by using such dastardly means. That feeling swelled up inside of him, displacing the fear. What he thought of first was something any boy would imagine. Get out of these bonds, beat up the bad guys, then hand them over to the police. Images of all the brave heroes from all the manga he had read passed through the back of his mind. In his imaginary scenario, he slipped his bonds easily, floating like a butterfly to evade his captors, then stinging like a bee to bring them all down. In the end, it was nothing more than a silly little fantasy, but with his vision obstructed and unable to see anything, it was something that he could get into more than any anime at the moment. In actuality, he was enjoying these little scenarios in his head for the long period of time he was tied up. His captors hadn't really done anything to him that they would feel sorry for. However, eventually he began to grow tired of his fantasies, and more realistic scenarios began to run through his head. It was then he realized that none of them were a solution. Yes, he wanted to do something for his grandfather who was being threatened. That he was being held here to inflict pain on his grandfather was the thing that he could least forgive, and also the most vexing. Then he noticed. There was a much simpler way he could save his grandfather without having to beat up his despicable captors. That was, to remove himself as a hostage from the hands of these villains. If he were to disappear from here, his captors would have nothing to threaten his grandfather with. The captors had restrained him, but they didn't treat him roughly, and they made sure he was fed well enough. Meaning, at most, he was nothing more than the means for their threat. They weren't looking to bully or kill him out of spite. If he behaved, no ill would befall him. Realizing that gave him a strong sense of courage, and carrying his train of thought this far, he let it run its course to its natural conclusion. Right now, at this moment, Inukai Toshiki had decided to escape. His ears had been stuffed with a sponge-like material, acting as makeshift earplugs. However, they didn't actually do much to block out any sound, and he could overhear everything his captors were saying. Realizing that this was to his advantage, even when his captors spoke to him, he acted like he couldn't hear them due to the earplugs. His captors, thinking that he couldn't hear their conversation, talked about all sorts of things without any reservations. Thanks to that, he was able to obtain various pieces of information. First off, this wasn't Tokyo. It seemed that this was quite a distance away, on top of that, in the countryside, nestled deep in the mountains. It also seemed that his captors were inconvenienced living out here, so he could deduce that this place was far removed from any sort of town. Finally, whenever they went out to buy food or other supplies, they would always take a car. That fact caused him some dismay, because he knew that the method he learned at school of running around blindly while shouting for help wouldn't work here. He paused his little mental escape scenario there. His ultimate goal was to find somebody who would help him. If somebody who fit that description wasn't close by, his chances of escaping successfully grew slim. A desolate, far-off land deep in the mountains. A place where you couldn't even go shopping without using a car. In this situation, escaping would be very difficult. He grew depressed, and after a little while he returned to his original scenario. imagining becoming a hero like in the manga he read and beating down his captors became his respite. However, as he played those illusions out in his head, his heart, hating to surrender, continued to search for a way to escape. And then, he thought of a way. If the goal was far away, then all he had to do was get closer. His goal, in a nutshell, was to find somebody who would help him. In other words, somebody other than his captors. If he faked being sick, then his captors would have to take him to the hospital, or bring a doctor to him. They would probably be reluctant to do that, but he already knew that the hostage was more important than anything. In the off chance that something happened, like him dying, occurred, they wouldn't be able to threaten anybody anymore. Luckily, he had an experience that would help him fake a serious illness. At the end of last year, he was inadvertently involved in a car accident and had to undergo surgery. The scar from that surgery was still clearly visible in his lower torso. He recalled the pain and suffering from that time. The existence of that experience would make a huge impact on the realism of his performance. He was quite confident in his ability to fake an illness. His captors at first took that as a sign he needed to use the washroom. Untying only his arms, they tried to bring him there while he was still blindfolded. But he didn't try to get up. His hands, now free, only clutched his abdomen as he writhed in agony.
Oi, どうしたんだ?
Hey, what's wrong?
腹でも痛いのか?
Does your stomach hurt? He still had his earplugs in, so he had to pretend he didn't hear his captors asking a question. He was about to nod, so he hurriedly had to stop himself.
どったんね?
What's the matter?
小僧が腹を押さえてるよ。
Yeah, the kid's clutching at his stomach.
腹痛かな?
Must be a stomach ache or something. His captors looked down on his suffering for him for a bit. One of them proposed a course of action, while another laid in his doubts that Toshiki might be faking it.
どったんね, 坊主.
What's wrong, boy?
腹痛むんかい?
Your tummy hurt?
そいつ耳を塞いでるから聞こえてないぜ。
His ears are plugged, so he can't hear you.
参ったんな.
Well, that's a problem.
腹痛に効く薬なんかあらんね.
Do we got any medicine that works on stomach pain?
薬局行って買ってくるか.
Might want to go to the pharmacy and buy some?
腹痛って言ったっていろんな薬があるだろう。
When it comes to stomach pain, there's a bunch of different meds, isn't there?
症状がわからないうちはいい加減な薬は買えないぜ。
As long as we don't know the cause, we shouldn't just buy him any old medicine.
腹押さえてるし、便秘やん。
He's holding his stomach. Maybe he's just constipated.
便秘薬でも買ってくれば収まるやんね。
If you buy him some medicine for that, maybe it'll calm him down.
間違って飲んでも死なんしな。
It won't kill him if we're wrong either.
決めつけるなよ。
Don't decide something like that on your own.
盲腸とかかもしれないだろう。
It might be appendicitis or something.
俺のおじさんがさ、昔急になったことあってよ。
My uncle suddenly got it a while ago.
あれはかなりビビったぜ。
That was pretty scary. One of the captors leaned over beside the boy, who was bent over in agony.
かわいそうにな。
I feel sorry for the kid.
全身汗だらけじゃないかよ。
Whoa, his whole body's covered in sweat.
腹か?
Is it your stomach?
痛むのか?
Does it hurt?
おいおい、痛むんならあんまり抑え込んじゃかえって悪いぞ。
Hey, if it hurts, you shouldn't clutch at it so tightly. It'll only make it worse. Jeez, so many typos. Should be a comma here. This shouldn't be in here. There should be an it right here. Realizing that his captors were concerned about his stomach, he inadvertently let his shirt right up, letting the scar from his surgery come into plain view. His vision was still obscured with packing tape, so he couldn't see the reaction to his scar. But his captors were taken aback, and judging from their momentary silence, he had obtained the reaction he was looking for.
おい、やばいぜ。
Hey, this is bad.
この手術跡、そんなに昔のものじゃないぜ。
The scar, it's not that old.
その小僧、熱出てるんかいね。
Does the boy have a fever?
体温計あるん?
There a thermometer around?
あるわけねえよ。
No way we have one.
でもすごい汗だぜ。
But that's a lot of sweat.
おでこは結構熱いと思う。
Yeah, his forehead feels pretty hot, I think.
緊張状態が続くとさ、昔の傷なんかに応えたりするって聞いたことあるぜ。
I've heard that under prolonged stress, old wounds could be aggravated.
じゃあどうすんよ。
Then what do we do?
薬じゃ治らんちゅんてんか。
Are we saying that medicine won't work?
何の手術跡か知らねえけど、
We don't know what surgery the scar was from.
とにかくまずいだろ
But in any case, this is bad.
う。下手すると命に関わるぜ。
In the worst case, it could be fatal.
まずいんて。
This is bad.
これは本当にまずいんて。
This is really, really bad.
医者に見せた方がいい。
Maybe we should have a doctor take a look at it.
このままじゃ突然ぽっくりいっちまう可能性だってあるだろう。
At this rate, there's a chance that he might suddenly die on us. Inukai Toshiki, with those few words, knew that the situation was progressing exactly as he had envisioned it, and snickering to himself on the inside, pressed his act even further. He didn't even need to see to know that his captors were panicked and were running around like chickens with their heads cut off at this troublesome turn of events.
診療所を連れて行くか。
Should we take him to the clinic?
そりゃまずん。
No. That wouldn't be good.
先生を連れてくる方がいいね。
Probably better if the doctor came here.
入江の先生か。
Dr. Irie? Me? Dr. Irie, you mean?
いいのか。
Is that okay?
大丈夫か。
Will that be alright?
人質に何かあったらまずんね。
It'd be worse if anything happened to the hostage.
しゃあない。緊急事態やん。
Nothing we can do. It's an emergency. When the captors hurriedly left in the car, another of the men, completely shaken up at this point, wiped the sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief. It looked like they were bringing a doctor. As long as the doctor wasn't an accomplice, that doctor was his goal. He was someone he should seek help from. His captors were probably wary of that happening. They would be prepared for it. This would all come down to luck. Some of the sweat emerging from his brow was from that nervousness. At that moment, the packing tape that was covering his eyes and ears was torn off. The burning light that he was seeing for the first time in several days hurt his eyes. After that, the gag that made it hard for him to breathe was also removed.
大丈夫かこそ。
Are you alright, kid?
今お医者を連れてくるからな。
We're bringing a doctor to you right now.
しばらく我慢してろな。
Just hold on for a bit. The doctor was coming. The doctor was coming. Now, how was he going to ask for help? And how was he going to get away from his captors? A plethora of thoughts began swirling through his mind.
分かってると思うが。
I think you know this already.
お医者に余計なことは言うなよ。
But don't say anything unnecessary to the doctor.
俺たちも別にお前に乱暴がしたいわけじゃないんだ。
We don't want to hurt you or anything.
そりゃ分かってるよな。
You understand that, right? Inukai Toshiki nodded while feigning pain and obedience. His expectations and the enemy's expectations. Whether they doubted he was faking his illness or not, they knew what his goal was and would try to stop it. His stomach contracted from the stress of this gambit, making it seem like his stomach really was starting to hurt. No, it really was. But there was no reason to panic. If he failed with his approach to the doctor, there was nothing to lose. If there was something to lose, it was this method of faking illness to get in touch with the doctor. If he could think of other methods from here on out, it wasn't much. But at the present, this was the easiest and most dramatic way he could think of. The more he thought about it, the more it looked like this was his first and last gambit. Eventually, he heard the sound of a car approaching once again. The sound of the car doors being hurriedly opened and shut. The sounds of several footsteps approaching. A young man in a white medical coat. As he acknowledged the boy, a suspicious look showed itself on his face.
彼は
Who's he?
村の子じゃありませんね。
He's not one of the kids from the village, is he? The captors didn't respond. From the looks of it, the young doctor had realized that this was an abnormal solution. One of the captors talked threateningly.
先生には関係のないことです。
That's got nothing to do with you, Doc.
For a while, the doctor and the captors silently glared at one another. However, unable to stand the sight of the boy continuing to suffer, the doctor, as the captors had hoped, didn't press any further.
その古い手術跡というのが気になります。
I'm concerned about this old surgical scar.
何の手術でしたか？
What kind of operation was it?
そりゃわからないです。
We don't know.
本当は診療所に連れ帰るべきなんですがね。
I should really bring him back to the clinic.
先生、そりゃさすがにちょっと。
Doc, we really can't do that. The doctor said he wanted to bring the boy back to the clinic, but the captors simply silently shook their heads at the notion. It was a fleeting hope, but it was only natural that the captors would refuse. At that moment, his eyes met with the doctor's. Seeing that the boy's painful state was abnormal, the doctor suspected it was a serious illness.
大丈夫ですか？
Are you alright?
私は医者です。
I'm a doctor.
この手術跡はいつ頃のものですか？
When was the surgical scar from?
去年の冬に事故で Last year during the winter from an accident.
事故？
An accident?
そうですか。
I see.
参ったな。
This is a problem. He couldn't let the doctor figure out that he was faking it here. He had to somehow figure out some way to keep this going and tell the doctor that he was being confined and needed help.
患部を少し触りますよ。
I'm going to touch the affected area, okay?
痛むところがあったら言ってくださいね。
If it hurts, tell me where. Seeing that it was extremely painful, the doctor crossed his arms and began to ponder. He had to somehow get himself to a hospital. To Inukai Toshiki, faking this illness was the performance of a lifetime.
Higurashi no Naku Koro ni.
Alright.
ええ、皆さんもご苦労さんなことです。
I'm gonna take a quick break. Stretch my legs, get something to drink, maybe munch on. I'll be back. Alright, I have returned. So let's get back to it.
Good work, everyone.
お暑いでしょうが、せいぜい頑張ってくださいよ。
I know it's hot, but please do your best.
不法投棄のダンプが現れたらすぐにご連絡ください。
If you catch anybody illegally dumping, please contact someone immediately.
急行いたしますのでね。
We'll act quickly.
ご協力感謝しますよ、大石さん。
Thank you for your cooperation, Oi-san.
どうぞ。
Please. A gap wide enough for a single car was opened up in the barricade. It's like, ever since I trimmed that little live bit of fingernail I mentioned, it's like, obviously it's burning here, but then it's weird. It's like, it's going up the nerve a little and spilling down to my finger, and now I've had this burning itch along it that I just can't scratch to make go away. It's very annoying. Always showing his gratitude, or perhaps a threatening attitude. Showing his gratitude, or perhaps a threatening attitude, that rhymed. With a short beep on the horn, rolled the car forward through the checkpoint. This time, my appearance was the very embodiment of the word suspicious. a baseball cap, mask, and sunglasses. On top of that, even though it was sweltering, I was wearing a hoodie. Any respectable police officer would be loath to not stop me for questioning. I had meant to be overcautious, knowing full well that my face was known. I had a sliver of cake, and I keep forgetting I shouldn't have dairy when I'm supposed to be voice acting. I had milk with the cake. Did I read that line? I think I did. I had meant to be overcautious, knowing full well that my face was known, but it might have already been too late for that to have any use. Using that as an excuse, I doffed the unbearably hot hoodie and windbreaker, ripped off the mask and hat, and threw them in the seat behind me.
ありゃ
Oh my.
いいんですか
Is that okay?
こんな小細工したところで
With a cheap little disguise like this,
どうせ割れているでしょうから
they probably figured it out anyways.
そりゃまあそうでしょうな。
That just might be the case.
Always probably thinking that my unexpected behavior was funny, continued to laugh. The beautiful and pristine scenery of Hinamizawa spread out before me. The village itself would have been quite beautiful if it weren't for the complicated circumstances surrounding it at the moment. I'd absolutely love to take Yukiya here for a drive one day. Come to think of it, I didn't get a chance to call her last night. I played around with the idea in my head, but in reality this village wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. I had heard everything at the prefectural headquarters. At the heart of this village, the intelligence network that the three families wielded was, due to blood ties and regional relationships, unbelievably well organized. The net spread not just around Hinamizawa itself, but encapsulated the entirety of the city of Shibone as well. When I first heard that, somewhere in the recesses of my mind, I didn't take it completely seriously. How could a local organization out in the boonies here have something so grandiose? I couldn't deny that somewhere in the back of my mind I had ridiculed the thought. But not only were they really threatening the minister, but they had demonstrated they had a complete grasp on our movements, which were supposed to be top secret. They were almost like the secret police that controlled a small Eastern European country like in some spy novel. The villagers here wouldn't bat an eye at getting their hands dirty if it meant fighting the dam project. I also heard something like that at the prefectural headquarters. Now that you mention it, when I first arrived here, Oishi also said that this place was a war zone, didn't he? The residents of this village were at the same time freedom fighters, although by definition they were no different than guerrillas or a militia. They weren't protected by the Geneva Convention, but they also didn't have to adhere to those rules either. This place was more of a quagmire than any legitimate battlefield. A secret war was unfolding. I could drive along because Oishi was with me. But if I was to leave this car for even something as trivial as looking for a vending machine, there's a chance I wouldn't return. Even though a single shot hadn't been fired, this was a battlefield. No, the reason why bullets weren't flying was simply because it was hard for a civilian to obtain a gun in Japan. So they were probably just equipped with weapons other than guns that were easier to obtain. That was why Oishi was wearing that stab-proof vest, wasn't it?
赤坂さん、緊張してます
Akasaka-san, are you nervous?
The fact that I was apprehensive was, of course, picked up on by Oishi. If he already figured it out, there was no point in trying to deny or hide it.
もちろんです
Of course I am.
敵の本拠地にたった2人で乗り込んでいるんですよ
We're already headed into the heart of enemy territory alone, aren't we?
この人数では万一の時が不安です
I'm worried about if something unlikely happens with just the two of us. Sorry, I'm just clearing my nose. It's bugging me, and if it starts running, it's going to infect my voice.
Something unlikely.
No. 大丈夫ですよ。
It'll be alright.
この村の人間すべてが敵ではありませんでしたか？
Isn't everybody in this village our enemy?
全員が口裏を合わせれば、この村で白昼堂々殺人が起こっても証拠一つ残らない。
If everybody gets their stories straight, they could murder someone in broad daylight and there would be a shred of evidence.
そういうところだと聞いていますよ。
I'm asking about something like that. This is what the ironclad rule of not barging into Yakuza office alone was about. If there wasn't a neutral party involved, that area wasn't bound by the laws of common sense. If something happened, you wouldn't be able to prove it, and there wasn't anybody who would take your side. It was pretty much the definition of poking the bear.
Hinamizawa地区へ向かうと同僚に言い残してますしね。
I've left where they were headed towards the Hinamizawa area.
万一の時は無線機もありますし。
And in the worst case, we've also got a radio.
赤坂さんが怖がってるほどね。そう簡単には完全犯罪はできませんよ。
I know you're scared of Kasaka-san, but it's not that easy to pull off the perfect crime.
まあ、もちろん油断をしないに越したことはありませんがね。
Well, of course that doesn't mean we can let our guard down either.
The perfect crime. I like that echo from Tatarigoshihan.
赤坂さん、緊張しすぎですよ。
Kasaka-san, you're too worked up over this.
前にご一緒してた時の方がリラックスしてらしたじゃないですか。
You were more relaxed the last time we came up here together, weren't you?
な
Laughing it off, Oishi thumped his chest and grinned as if to say I could depend on him.
まあ、本当の本当にヤバくなったら。
Well, if it gets really iffy.
桜の大門にはこいつがありますからね。
This comes with having the badge.
Oishi made a motion by sticking out his index finger. It was undoubtedly the image of a gun.
役に立ちますか？
Will it be of any use?
撃った後の後始末云々が怖くなければ、実に心強いですよ。
If you're not afraid of dealing with the aftermath after you shoot, it's actually very reassuring.
An officer's gun was only for show. If you really wanted to fire it, there were quite a number of stipulations, and you had to be prepared for the long probationary period afterwards. Definitely not like in America, where in certain parts of the country you can shoot a person dead, especially if they're of another skin color, unfortunately, and the police don't, and it's rare that the police, have anything bad happen to them. I'm sure there's still a lot of paperwork they'd have to fill out, but that's nothing compared to actual justice. That definitely wasn't worth it, so even if an officer did unholster his gun, there wasn't one who actually wanted to pull the trigger.
赤坂さんは持ってるんですか？
Akasaka-san, are you carrying one?
これ。
A piece.
まあ、一応。
Well, yeah.
撃ったことは？
You ever fired it?
ありますよ。
I have.
訓練ですかね。
For training, though.
そりゃそうでしょうな。
Well, I guess that'd be true.
なら大石さんにはあるんですか？
Well then,
well then, have you, Oishi-san?
私ですか？
me?
なまさかあるわけないじゃないですか。
Ah, there's no way.
What was this? I thought he was laughing at me because he had experience. The two of us laughed together.
銃口を向けたこともありませんがね。
I've also never pointed the barrel at anybody.
銃口を向けられたことなら何度かありますよ。
I've looked on the barrel of the gun a few times, though.
銃口を覗かされるだけで寿命が3年は縮むな。
Just being made to look down the barrel like that is enough to shorten your lifespan by about 3 years.
Even if he had never fired a gun before, you couldn't even begin to compare the amount of experience Oishi had over me. At a time like this, I could only marvel again at how reliable Oish seemed.
はあ、そういえば日の高いうちにこっちには来たくなかったな。
Come to think of it, I didn't want to come this way in the middle of the day.
でも車道はここを抜ける以外ないし。
But there's no way for a car to get through other than here.
赤坂さん、念のためもう一回マスクで顔を隠してください。
Akasaka-san, just in case, put on the mask again to hide your face, please.
That rhymed, case and face. At this rate, Oishi-san could be a rapper. He could set down those mahjong tiles for good and sign on with Def Jam.
どうしたんです？
What's the matter?
冷房がうるさいから聞こえないかな？
Can you not hear it because the air conditioner is too loud?
Well, he would. That's a good detail. Him automatically filtering out the air conditioning noise because he always has it cranked up at max.
切りますよ。
I'll turn it off.
窓を開けてみてください。
Try opening the window.
When I opened the window, a blast of hot air blew inside. And then I could hear angry yelling coming from far away. At that moment, the forest gave way on either side of us, and our view expanded suddenly. And there could be seen the Hinamizawa Dam construction grounds, the very front line for Hinamizawa village. We're absolutely opposed to the construction of the Hinamizawa Dam! The crackling blare of someone's voice sounded over an enormous loudspeaker. Oh, what am I going to use for that? Let me use this plastic bag here. We're absolutely opposed to the construction of the Hinamizawa Dam! I always love that they tell me after I do the line how it's meant to be read. I hate that. I hate that about visual novels. All the visual novels I've played so far, which, granted, have been only this long A visual novel, Higurashi no Naku Koro and Doki Doki Literature Club, but I'm expecting both of these are pretty typical of their genre. And in this regard, at least. The roar of angry voices continued to rumble. The incredible volume had become a veritable sound cannon, spewing out its ammunition. The prefabricated site office was surrounded by 2 sets of high fences laced with barbed wire. Lined up in front of those fences were riot police in their vehicles. And surrounding it all were the villagers. They howled out their protests against the dam as a single entity.
Oh, 今日は少ないですね。
Oh, there's not too many of them today.
ついてます。
We're in luck.
少ないんですか？
That's not too many.
ええ、多い時だと道路までいっぱいになりますよ。
Yeah, when there's a lot of them, the crowd reaches as far as the road.
うちうち車も通れません。
You wouldn't even be able to inch forward in a car.
At first, due to their overwhelming intensity, it looked to me like there was more people than there actually were, but upon closer inspection, there were at most 50 to 70 of them. But the 6 or 7 propaganda trucks lined up that looked like they belonged to a band of thugs were a strange enough sight. The villagers were also wearing helmets and bandanas, as well as covering their face with masks, adding to the oddity of it all. The propaganda trucks, after braying their chorus, had their volume turned up even higher and began to flood the area with sutures. To say that the noise was downright violent wouldn't be an understatement. From this distance, it was still this loud. The glass in the office was probably rattling from the noise.
あれをガンガンやられるとたまんないんですよね。
They can't do anything new but take it.
昨日の連中、全員耳栓してて、それでも耳がおかしくなるそうです。
Those riot squad guys, every one of them is wearing earplugs, but they're still having their hearing damaged.
気の毒な話です。
Poor sobs.
騒音規制でなんとかできないんですか？
Can't you do something about it with noise ordinance laws?
うちの県には騒音規制に関する規定ね、ないんですよ。
Our prefecture doesn't have any laws regarding noise ordinance.
それにほら、 お経でしょ。
Also, those are sutras, right?
宗教活動規制できないし。
We can't regulate religious activities.
連中も頭いいんです。
Those guys are pretty smart.
Is what I think Oishi said. Actually, no matter how tightly the window was shut, the booming sound of the sutras still filled the car. I couldn't even hear what Oishi, who was sitting right next to me, was saying. As the car approached the line of propaganda trucks, the blare became difficult to bear. It wasn't enough to just plug my ears with my fingers. I had to hold my head to keep my skull from splitting apart. If I had seen this terrifying energy sooner, I would have probably understood what Hinamizawa village was much quicker. Now I knew. They wouldn't blink an eye at sacrificing themselves in order to protect their hometown. Ah, so gosh darn noisy! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Man, there are times I feel that, but it's more because I have sensory hypersensitivity. And intracranial hypertension. My head throbbed and felt like I was going to split apart. My eardrums crackled, and on top of it all, I felt like I was going to throw up. With the road crowded with a throng of squatters, the propaganda trucks, and the riot police's vehicles, it was in no way easy to get by. Even if you tried to shoo the squatters with a car horn, they were also wearing earplugs, oblivious to noises from the outside world, and wouldn't easily move. The car could only inch forward at a snail's pace. Even then, the car eventually got through, starting to leave the tumultuous noise behind.
ほら、昨日一緒に麻雀やったメンツにお年寄りさんいたでしょ。
Hey, the bald guy that was playing mahjong with us last night.
覚えてます？
Remember him?
I remembered that there is an older person who didn't exactly mince words. The guy that Oishi called Old Man.
いらっしゃいましたね。
There was someone like that.
彼ね、第一航空の現場監督さんなんですよ。
You see, he's the foreman of the main construction site.
あそこのプレハブの中でイライラしながら仕事をなさってるんでしょうね。
He's probably holed up in that prefab building, trying to work while irritated out of his mind.
お気の毒なことです。
Poor fella.
あれが毎日ではたまったものではないでしょう。
You wouldn't be able to stand it if it's like that every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
耐えかねて辞めちゃう人が後を絶ちません。
There's no end to the number of people who can't handle it and quit.
まあ、その度にお給金がアップしてるんで、なんとも言えませんが。
But every time that happens, your wages go up, so I won't say it's in vain.
Even having to deal with all that noise and hostility, they still made a wage that Oishi found enviable.
ちくしょう、こいつら。
Darn it, these guys!
聞こえてるのか聞こえてないのか。
Can they hear or can't they?
A group of squatters were on the way of the car. Oishi, sufficiently annoyed, laid into the horn. There was no indication that they were moving anytime soon. In this din, could they not even hear a car horn? Or did they hear it and were being malicious? If there were any riot police nearby, they would have made people move, but it just so happened there weren't any around here.
もう。
Ah, jeez.
ちょいと待っててください。
Wait just a minute.
Oishi opened up the door. The hot air and even more heated roar of the crowd spilled into the car. Oishi said something as he grinned widely, but I couldn't hear what it was. He was getting them to move. Something like that? Oishi stepped out of the car and closed the door. The din faded slightly. I stared blankly as Oishi headed towards the group and started some sort of conversation. Maybe we'd find the minister's grandson at Takatsuto. At the very least, I wanted to find him there. Find him and slip the cursed bonds of this incomprehensible village. I could only pray. At that moment, a shadow was suddenly cast over me. Somebody was standing right outside the passenger side window, blocking the sunlight. I spun around, looked up, and realized who the backlit figure was. It was a girl. It was Furude Rika. The girl stared down at me with a bored look in her eyes. I didn't have any justification for it, but I felt like I had been found by somebody I shouldn't be found by. To fill the silence, I raised my hand as I mouthed a meek greeting. Of course, there was no way she heard my small voice in this clamor. But even then, she should have seen me wave my hand in greeting. In spite of that, she simply stared down at me with a cold look on her face. At that moment, the noise and heat spread through the car once again. Oishi had returned to the driver's seat. Taking a look, the group that were blocking the road had started to move aside while glaring our way.
お待たせしました。
Sorry to keep you waiting.
行きましょうか。
Shall we go?
Oishi registered the figure of the girl behind me. One of the villagers came over and picked her up, in a manner of, "It's dangerous, so get away." It was then that she whispered one or two words, however I couldn't hear any of it.
さて、行きましょうかね。
Well then, let's go.
飛ばしますよ。
I'm going to get it, okay?
もちろん、法定速度遵守で。
But of course, still within the speed limit.
As if to shake off the still audible angry voices, Oishi floored the gas. Along with the roar and the din and the shouting, the villagers and the girl quickly disappeared behind us.
この先を抜けると高津戸地区です。
As soon as we're through here, we're in Takatsuto.
銃撃戦の覚悟は大丈夫ですか？
Are you okay if we end up getting into a firefight?
安全装置外すの土壇場でとちらないでくださいよ。
Don't be fumbling with the safety at the last moment, you
Oishi laughed mockingly again. I was more concerned with what the girl had said. However, I was vaguely bothered by it. What was she trying to say with that apathetic and candid expression?
今から緊張したって仕方ないですよ。
Suppose it's normal if you're nervous from here on out.
むしろ収穫がなくて勇み足って可能性だって十分にあるんですから。
But if you don't deal with it, there's a chance you might do something rash.
There was no longer a way to confirm what the girl had tried to tell me. It might have been the girl who warned me to go back to Tokyo again, or else. It was saying to me who was here now, ignoring that warning.
警告したのに、バカなやつ。Even though I warned you, what a fool.
I had the feeling she said something like that. Higurashi no Naku Koro ni. Okay. I wonder how much longer it will be. If you were to call Hinamizawa a rather lonely village, then Takatsuto was outright desolate. For your everyday city boy like me, I just couldn't understand why anybody would force themselves to live here. There were signs that people had, but they were all covered in dust or enveloped in ivy, indicating that it was all abandoned.
こんなところにも人は住んでいたんですね。
People really lived in a place like this, didn't they?
まあ昔の話でしょうな。
Well, it was a long time ago.
こんな偏僻なとこじゃ年寄りには辛いですし。
A remote place like this is pretty rough for old folk to live.
若者だってもう少しまともな土地に住みたいでしょうしね。
And the younger people probably wanted to try living in a more suitable place.
後を継ぐ者がいなきゃ最後にはこうなるってことでしょうな。
If there's nobody left to take the reins, all that gets left is this.
Even if I had no personal attachment to the village, seeing the disused buildings made me feel a little sentimental. It seemed that Oishi also felt the same way.
こんなところで財布が発見されたんですか？
Was the wallet found over here?
財布の取得者もよくこんなに偏僻なところに通りかかったものですね。
The person who found it must have a good reason to come out to this desolate place.
ああ、村人には山の中に畑を持ってる連中がいましてね。
Yeah, there's some villagers who have a field out in the mountains here.
そういう連中は朝晩ここを通りますから。
They pass by here in the morning and evenings.
畑仕事の村人たちは早朝や夕方にここを徒歩で通ると。
The villagers who work in the fields walk by here every day.
まさか。
No way.
行けるところまでは車で行くでしょうな。
They probably go as far as they can by car.
早朝や夕方にこんなところを走行して落ちているたった一つの財布を発見できます。
So in the early mornings and evenings they pass by here and just happen to find a single wallet?
できたんでしょうな。
They probably did.
Okay.
取得者はどこで取得したと言っていますか？
Where exactly did they say they found it?
もう少し先を行ったところにある茂みです。
And I think it's just a bit further ahead.
取得者はたまたまお腹が痛くなってちょいと茂みで用を足そうと思ったらしい。
The person who found the wallet just happened to have some stomach cramps and was planning to use the thicket to do his business, it seems.
それで偶然見つけたらしいんですよ。
It was there he happened to find it.
中にちり紙でも入ってるのを期待したんですかね。
Probably hoping there was some toilet paper in there.
話ができすぎているように感じます。
Everything about that story just seems a little too convenient.
財布発見の当初からそういう違和感が拭えません。
Right from the discovery of the wallet, I just can't shake the feeling that something's off. I expressed the feeling that I had from the start of the day, quite frankly. It seemed too good to be true, but it was unwavering proof. But it was too perfect, sickeningly so. That was my feeling.
できすぎってな、案外当たってるかもしれませんよ。
You might actually be onto something by saying it's all a little too perfect.
というと
Meaning,
実は四課のお友達からちょいと聞いたんですがね。
The truth is, I heard a little something from a friend of mine in the 4th Division.
園崎お涼が大臣の孫の誘拐事件について言及したって話なんです。
Sonozaki Yoryo referenced kidnapping the minister's grandson.
言及した？
she referenced it?
大臣の孫ももう誘拐されてから何日にもなってかわいそうだ。
It's been several days since the minister's grandson has been kidnapped. Poor boy.
そろそろ解放されるといいなと。
It'd be nice if they let him go soon.
そう、お涼のばあさんが縁側でぼそりとつぶやいたってな話らしいんです。
It seems that old Yoryo muttered something like that while on her veranda.
で、そのぼそりが園崎家の裏の裏のあちこちに伝えられてるようです。
That little musing was conveyed to the various people working deep behind the scenes at the Sonozaki family.
Alright. Okay. Right, I had heard something earlier from Sato-san, the informant. That when the leader Oryo had a concern, somebody in the family would be considerate.
つまりそれは実質上の人質解放命令ですか？
So, in essence, she gave the order to release the hostage?
私はそう見てます。
I see it that way.
この出来すぎの財布発見は孫を警察に引き渡すためのイベントじゃないかと。
The wallet being conveniently discovered was just a ploy to hand the boy over to the police.
どうして人質の解放を？
Why would they release the hostage?
そりゃ人質を解放するなんて理由は一つしかないじゃないですか。
Well, there's only one reason why somebody would release a hostage, isn't there?
何です？
What is it?
取引の成立ですよ。
They reached a deal.
南沢ダム計画の中止を大臣が約束ってことですかね。
That would mean the minister promised to help the Hinamizawa dam project, wouldn't it?
ダム計画なんて必ずなくなっちゃいますのです。The dam project would definitely go away.
At that moment, those words the girl had said resurfaced in the back of my mind. In the end, it was turning out exactly as she had proclaimed. That young girl knew the circumstances. She knew everything about this kidnapping incident, from the beginning to the end.
Akasaka? Akasaka?
The girl unexpectedly called my name.
なんだい
What is it?
東京へ帰れ。Go back to Tokyo.
Huh?
あなたはもう幾ばくもしないうちにこの村に来たことをひどく後悔することになる。Before long, you will willfully regret coming to this village. それがあまりにもみすぼらしくて気の毒な姿だから。That would be an incredibly pathetic thing to see. 今のうちから警告してあげているのです。So I thought I'd warn you right now.
どうして私が後悔することになる
Why would I come to regret it?
いちいちうるさいな。Stop whining. あなたの親はあなたが赤信号の横断歩道の真ん中にいるとき When you tried crossing the road when the don't walk sign was up. どうして危ないのかを全部説明し終えるまであなたの手を引っ張らないの Did your parents finish explaining why it was dangerous before pulling you back to the sidewalk? 引っ張るでしょ They'd pull you back right away, wouldn't they? まず歩道まで連れ戻してからなぜ危険なのかを解くでしょう They'd pull you back before explaining why it was dangerous, wouldn't they? つまりはそういうこと In other words, it's something like that.
The girl, who knew everything from start to finish, had warned me in the beginning. Go back to Tokyo.
赤坂の怖がり。赤坂 is such a coward.
孫は無事見つかるでしょうが、その後はいろいろと厄介な問題になるでしょうな。
We'll probably find the boy, but what happens afterwards will probably be a bit of a problem.
どう厄介になるかは、一警察官の私には想像もつきませんがね。
How it'll be a problem though is something a single officer like me can't figure out, huh?
フルでリカって少女
Do you know
ご存知ですか
a girl named Furude Rika? What I had said was such a non sequitur that always she sat in stunned silence for a while. I can say non sequitur, but I can't say sat. 1 second.
もちろん知ってますよ。
Of course I know her.
御三家の一つ、古出家の一人娘ですね。
She's the only daughter of the Furude family, one of the three families.
どういう少女なんです
What kind of girl is she?
おやおや、これは意外な人物名にちょっと驚きです。
This was an unexpected name to hear. I'm a bit surprised.
公安では古出家が臭いと睨んでおられるわけで。
Does public safety think that the Furude family smells fishy and wants to keep an eye on them?
私にも情報を分けてくださいよ。
Share some of that information with me, please.
あ、いや、そういうのじゃないんです。
No, it's not like that.
ちょっと気になったもので。
It's just something that caught my attention.
まあいいや。
Well, whatever.
同じ卓を囲んだ友人の質問なら答えないわけにはいきませんからね。
It wouldn't do to not answer a question from a friend I've sat at the same table with.
友人と呼んでいただけて光栄です。
I'm honored that you call me a friend.
で、あのお嬢ちゃんはね、まあ村のマスコットみたいなもんです。
So, that little lady is, well, somewhat of a village mascot.
村中の誰からも愛されてます。
She's beloved by everybody in the village.
中でも年寄り連中には特に崇められてましてね。
Some of the older folk worship her especially.
崇められる
Worship?
よくは知らないんですがね。
I don't know much about it, you see.
古出家に生まれた女の子ってのには多少神聖な意味合いがあるらしいんですよ。
Girls born in the Furude family have somewhat of a sacred implication, it seems.
Hinamizawaの土着信仰ですがね。
It's one of the local beliefs in Hinamizawa.
お社様の生まれ変わりだとかなんとか、そんな話があるらしいですよ。
The living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama or something like it. Or so the story goes, apparently.
お社様
お社様。
そういえば同盟の登り旗の中にお社様と書かれたものがあったような気がします。
Now that you mention it, I think I saw Oyashiro-sama written on some of the Alliance's banners.
何ですかお社様って。
What is exactly Oyashiro-sama?
ああ、Hinamizawaの守り神様の名前です。
It's the name of the guardian deity of Hinamizawa.
村にあだなす者に罰を当てるって信じられてましてね。
They believe it'll exact punishment on those who would do ill towards the village.
まあ、そんな便利な神様がいたら、ダムの連中はとっくに神罰にやられているんでしょうが。
Well, if there was such a convenient god around, the guys at the dam would have long since been done in by divine justice.
幸い、今日までその罰ってやつは一つも起こってませんがね。
Luckily, nothing like that has happened to anybody just yet.
That's right. It isn't until a year later that the first wait a second. That wouldn't make sense. If this is 1978, 5 years before 1983, and 1983 was the 5th year, then the first year of the curse would have been 1979, but they're implying that the dam projects are stopping now because of the protests. Maybe I've got my math mixed up. Maybe this is 1979 and not 1978.
The guys at the dam would have... Okay, luckily nothing like that has happened to anybody just yet.
村にあだなす大臣の孫がお社様の怒りに触れ、なんて言いましたっけ？
The grandson of the minister who trifled with the village, as a result of Oyashiro-sama's anger, was... what did they call it again?
そう、鬼隠し。
Oh right, Onikashi.
大臣の孫を鬼隠しにしたと。
The minister's grandson was demoned away.
そういう筋書きになるわけでしょうか。
That's probably... that would probably be how the script is being written.
なるほどな。
I see.
そういうことになるんでしょうな。
It probably would turn into something like that.
お社様が下した神罰。
Divine punishment wrought by Oyashiro-sama.
なら、犯人はお社様の生まれ変わりであるあの少女。
Then the culprit is the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama. That girl? Even I didn't know exactly what I was saying. The fact that Oishi laughed it off was a bit of a relief. I have an itch in my ear. Out. Oh well. Oishi's joyous laughter was so infectious that I began to laugh like an idiot as well.
ありゃ、こりゃ珍しい。
Oh, this is unusual.
Oishi, after laying into the horn several times, rolled the window down and leaned out, waving his arm in an exaggerated manner. It was a car headed the opposite way. Until now, we hadn't run into any other cars except our own. And of all places, it was at this desolate location. It seemed that Oishi knew the owner of that car. The other car also tripped its horn and came to a stop.
入江の先生
Dr. Idiot!
こんにちは
Good afternoon.
The other car's window rolled down slowly, revealing a young man in a white overcoat. He was about my age, or perhaps a bit older. But you really can't judge somebody by their appearance.
大石さんじゃありませんか。
Why, if it isn't Oishi-san.
こんにちは。
Good afternoon.
珍しいところでお会いしますね。
Fancy meeting you here.
そりゃこっちのセリフですよ先生
That's my line, Doctor.
まさかこんなところで会うとはね
I never thought I'd see you here.
どうしたんです
What happened?
いえね、ちょっとした往診です。
Oh, nothing. Just a little house call.
ありゃそうですか
Oh, really?
休館とかでしたか
Was it an emergency?
いえ、そんなに大したことではありませんでした。
No, nothing quite that serious.
よかったですよ。
Thankfully.
お医者の世話にならずに済むならそれに越したことはないです
It's always for the best when the patient gets better without the need of medical care.
ではこれで。
I'll take my leave here.
急いで戻らないとスタッフに怒られますんで。
If I don't get back quickly, my staff will be angry with me.
な
No.
診療所長さんも大変です
Being the head of the clinic must be tough.
ではではお気をつけて
Well then, take care.
The young doctor named Didier, after gesturing his farewell, drove forwards and soon disappeared around a corner. Oishi also drove forwards, but soon came to a stop again. He pulled out a worn map book from the dash. His expression didn't have an ounce of irreverence. He was perfectly serious.
どうしたんです
What is it?
今日は診療所は往診の日じゃないはずです
The clinic shouldn't be making any house calls today.
よっぽどの休館か特殊な事情のある患者ということになりますね
It must have been quite an emergency, or otherwise the patient with some extenuating circumstances.
Oishi flipped through the pages, opening up to the map of Takatsuto. After that, he took a look around and started to figure out what our current location was.
その休館が怪しいということですか
Are you saying that emergency is suspicious?
言ったでしょ
Didn't I say?
高津戸地区にね住んでる人なんてほとんどいないんですよ
There's hardly anybody that lives in the Takatsuto area.
今私たちがいる道はここ
Road we're on right now is here.
入江先生はこの道に対してこ
Dr.
っちの
Idiot.
方向から走ってきたと
Dr. Idiot came from this direction.
Having no sense of our surroundings, I couldn't digest anything about the place he was indicating on the map.
私たちは財布の取得場所を目指しています
We're heading towards the spot where the wallet was found.
ちなみに取得場所はここ
By the way, that's over here.
でもね
Let's see.
高津戸地区にわずかにある民家に向かうにはそもそも道が違うんです
If you're heading to one of the few residences in Takatsuto, it's the wrong road.
つまり入江医師は民家のない方角から来たと
Meaning, Dr. Idiot came from a direction where there are no residents.
山間の段々畑で農作業中に誰かが倒れたってのでない限りね
As long as somebody working in the fields between these mountains didn't collapse.
人が倒れて医者が呼ばれたら普通は連れ帰って詳しく調べるもんです
As long as somebody working in the fields between these mountains didn't collapse. But if somebody collapses and you call a doctor, normally you'd bring them back with you for a more detailed examination.
でもさっき理恵医師は大したことはなかったと言いましたね
But just now, Dr. Idiot said it's nothing serious.
車には他には誰も乗っていなかったようですし。
And it didn't seem like anybody else was in the car with him.
Oishi didn't say anything more than that. I also said nothing more. That doctor just now examined a patient close by. Only that. The noisy radio had suddenly gone quiet. The sky had just as suddenly turned an oppressive color. As Oishi mused that it might start to rain, a torrential downpour started, as though trying not to disappoint him. Eventually, Oishi stopped the car. The only sounds to break the silence were the percussion of the rain on the roof and the soft squeak of the windshield wipers.
ちょいと静か静かで行きましょうかね。
Let's do this. A bit hush hush, shall we?
Saying that in a quiet voice, he exited the car without an umbrella, careful not to make any noise. Oishi leaned over, indicating the other side of the thicket. He was pointing to a prefabricated shed and a car that was parked beside it. The car looked obviously well cared for. It wasn't a vehicle that had been left there for several years.
あの小屋は
What's that shed?
営林署の機材小屋です。
It contains equipment used by the forestry service.
夏場以外は利用されてないと聞きました。
I heard that they don't go near it except during the summertime.
あの車は営林署の職員の
Does that car belong to somebody from the forestry service then?
さあね。
No,
公用車には見えないですね。
it doesn't look like an official vehicle though.
Oishi was playing it cool, but my nervousness was gradually increasing.
一応は念のため。
Just in case.
Saying that, Oishi returned to the car. I thought he was going to get an umbrella, but he grabbed the onboard radio instead.
もしもし、大石です。
Hello, this is Oishi.
聞こえてるかな？
Do you read?
こんにちは、こんにちは。
Greetings, greetings.
はい、沖宮 PS。
Yes, this is the Okinomiya SP.
大石さん、感度良好です。どうぞ。
Oh, sorry, I should be using a radio simulator. And that dialogue should be made to sound like it's coming from a radio as well. Yes, this is the Okinomiya SP. Oishi-san, we read you loud and clear. Over.
今、高津戸地区の営林署機材小屋前です。
I'm currently in front of the forestry services equipment shed.
矢後地に向かう方じゃないよ。Hinamizawaから高津戸に入る方の。
Not the one in the direction of Higurashi. The one in Takatsuto, if you head there from Hinamizawa.
はい、確認しました。
Affirmative, copy that.
小屋に不審者。
There are some suspicious people in the shed.
これより職質します。
Proceeding to investigate.
5分で連絡なかったら駐在所に連絡と大至急応援パトを送ってください。
If you don't hear back from me in 5 minutes, get in touch with the local police substation and have them send a cruiser as soon as possible.
よろしくお願いします。
If you would, please.
了解しました。
Understood.
じゃあ行ってみましょうかね。
Well then, shall we go take a look?
Since he was first confined here, he had heard the sound of a car multiple times, so he just thought the far-off sound was more of the same. However, the reaction from his captors was, until now, something he hadn't seen before. They jumped, reacting as if shocked by a jolt of electricity, and pressed against the window, cautiously peering outside.
止まったな。
They stopped.
営林署の人
Somebody from the forestry service?
間まずいぜ。
This is bad.
いや、警察やんな。
Nah, looks like a cop to me. When the captors lifted the boy up by his collar and pressed the blade against his cheek.
お兄ちゃん、ちょい静かにしててな。
Hey, kid. Keep quiet for a bit.
分かってると思うけど、大声出したりすると大変なことになるからな。
I think you know this, but if you try and shout, there will be problems. Inukai Toshiki was sure that the doctor had reported things to the police. He felt relief when he thought he was saved, but not imagining his captors would resort to violence when they were cornered, his anxiety remained unabated.
どうする？
What do we do?
時間稼いでる。
Gotta buy time.
小僧を連れてちょい裏から抜けない。
Take the kid and slip out of the back.
ほとぼり冷めたら落ち合おう。
We'll meet back here when the heat's off. One of the perpetrators grabbed the boy by the collar and forced him to stand. Of course, Inukai Toshiki tried to resist by feigning that his illness had been aggravated by this rough treatment, but his captors paid no heed. The door was violently banged upon.
ごめんください。
Excuse me!
こんにちは。
Hello!
The door was banged on again. Inukai Toshiki hesitated for a moment to respond to that voice by yelling. However, while he was being indecisive, his mouth was covered, taking that option away from him. The leader of the captives waved at the other to go. The younger perpetrator nodded in response, and while keeping the boy's mouth covered, started heading towards the back door.
はいはい。何かご用かいね。
Hello! You need something?
どうも。
How do you do?
警察ですがね。ここちょっと開けてもらっていいですか。
This is the police. Would you mind opening the door?
急な雨で困っちゃいましてね。
The sun rain has us in a bit of trouble.
ええ。今開けますん。
I'll just open. The moment the lock was undone, Oishi forced the door open. And with a gleam of menace in his eyes, he pushed the man aside as he stepped into the room. Then in the small and empty room, he was able to quickly discern that the boy he was looking for was nowhere to be seen.
あれ？私はここは営林署の機材倉庫だって聞いてたんですけどね。
I heard this was an equipment shed for the forestry service.
何にもありませんね。
But there's nothing here at all.
There was nothing inside the room that would indicate this was an equipment shed. There was only a mountain of blankets, indicating somebody was sleeping here, alongside empty food packets strewn about.
ああ。ここはずいぶん前から空っぽさね。
It's been empty for some time now.
機材がしまってあるところなんて見たこともねえわ。
Never seen no equipment stored around here.
でも営林署の建物でしょ。
But this is the forestry service's building, isn't it?
あんた営林署の人？
Are you from the forestry service?
あんたこそ誰よ。警察？
How about you? Police? Two of them glared at each other suspiciously. Both Oishi and the man steadfastly refused to reveal their identity before the other did. The man, judging from the sharp look in Oishi's eyes, realized that it would be hard to talk his way out of this one. No matter what he said, the most time he could buy would probably be only a few distant seconds. Only the sound of rain filled this tense moment. Just then, they heard a sound of a struggle from far off. Oishi had a hunch. There was no doubt that Akasaka, who was circling around back, had run into the perpetrators who were trying to slip away. As Oishi thought that, the man in front of him reacted a moment faster. The man swung with an attack that was more intended to obscure Oishi's vision rather than actually hit him in the face. Seizing this opportunity, the man aimed to kick at Oishi's groin without any hesitation. But he missed his mark and was unable to land that critical blow. The man, trying to pin Oishi, grabbed him by the base of his neck with both hands and fiercely tried to push him down. As Oishi fell backwards, as if kicking the man upward, he dug his foot into the man's midsection. With that leg acting as a fulcrum, the man was flung by the falling Oishi as if by a circle throw. The two of them squared off in the pouring rain.
面白いじゃないの。
Isn't this interesting?
俺とやろうってか？
You wanna go?
ね。
Oishi, as if trying to cheer himself on, grinned smugly. He then stood up while brushing the mud off himself. Even though he countered the assault, Oishi was getting up rather awkwardly compared to the man who he threw. He swiftly sprang to his feet.
Oi, sir!
Oh! Oi-san!
Hayaku!
Hurry! Akasaka's voice rang out from the distance. So wait, we're not using Akasaka as a narrator anymore? Okay. Akasaka's voice rang out from the distance. Judging from the distress in his voice, he was already engaged in a fight, and wanted Oishi to reconvene with him. But Oishi's hands were full as well.
Akasaka-san!
Akasaka-san!
申し訳ないちょっと待っててくださいよ
Sorry, but can you wait a bit? The man raised both fists into a stance that hinted at him being equated with karate or some form of martial art. Of course, Oishi, as an officer of the law, was decently versed in judo. He also had the moxie to have been through his fair share of fights before. Because of that, you could tell that the man in front of him was quite a bit better at fighting than he was. Darn it! Thinking that this was going to be easy just because the order came from the Sonozaki family to release the hostage had been a big mistake.
なかなか上等じゃないのよ
You're pretty good.
久々に胃液がこみ上げてくる感じがしますよ
It's been a while since I got this worked up.
Oishi played off the situation like it was no sweat. His opponent, seeing his attitude, took that to mean that Oishi wasn't going to go down easily.
The man wildly charged forward, attempting to grab.
Wild manly charge. The man wildly charged forward, attempting to grab Oishi. If the man managed a successful clinch from his low stance, Oishi would be tackled to the ground and end up being mounted. It was something you saw often when children fought, but it really was a bad position, because you couldn't do much once you were in it. Oishi, responding to that move, also lowered his stance to collide with the man head-on. The moment they clashed, Oishi grabbed the man's lapel. As he yanked the lapel upwards, he smashed into the man's solar plexus with the elbow of the same arm. It was a move from Oishi's own personal brand of brawling judo. He then grabbed one with his free hand and attempted to throw his opponent with both hands. But the man lowered his center of gravity and swung his arms in a large arc, entwining them with Oishi's. Not only that, but he had forced both of Oishi's elbows to the outside, and Oishi, now in an awkward position, was in danger of exposing his back with his hands still clutching the man's chest. This guy practiced Aikido or grappling, didn't he? Oishi, cursing the fact that his fingers were twisted into the man's shirt and couldn't get away, released his grip. But he was still in the awkward position of being bent over. And to top it off, at zero range, the man was able to read Oishi's movements completely as he tried to scrum his way into a better position. And then took the palms of his hands and swiftly clapped them over both of Oishi's ears.
That's...
Yeah! Clapping the ears in any other martial art except for self-defense was basically forbidden. Karate and judo didn't recognize it as a legal technique. It was that much of a simple and dangerous attack. Oishi raised both his hands as he tried to reflexively clutch at his own ears. But before that could happen, the man wrapped his arms around Oishi's neck. His thick biceps clenched firmly around the base of Oishi's neck like a vice. Oishi instinctively thought he was going to be killed. After all, it wasn't hard to believe that a man like this, who was accustomed to fighting, could crush his opponent's neck from this position. But his opponent didn't do that. He had chosen to keep his hold and force Oishi to lose consciousness. That's why Oishi, at that moment, even though his face was twitching, was grinning widely. Even though his opponent had a chance to kill him, he didn't choose to. He was thinking, "Ah,
This guy has no intention of killing me."
However, even though that might be the case, the man's hold on his neck was by no means gentle. In no time at all, Oishi's consciousness began to fade. Having experienced being taken down countless times in judo during his student days, Oishi was utterly resigned to the fact that it was over.
Akasaka was finally recovering from the intense pain of being kicked in a rather sensitive area. He had bumped into the captor carrying the boy by the back entrance. He had seen Inukai Toshiki's picture plenty of times, but wasn't able to immediately ascertain if the boy in front of him was the real deal, with his mouth covered in packing tape. Also, with his limited experience, it wasn't hard for him to panic over how to deal with the situation. Of course, the perpetrator didn't overlook this momentary lapse. His kick landed squarely in a critical spot, with Akasaka not even having time to call for help. As the man flung the boy over his shoulder, he headed towards the front of the shed. But upon hearing Oishi's bellowing voice, he gave up on going that direction. He then dashed off towards the forest, as if the weight of the boy slung over his shoulder wasn't even there. Akasaka was lost for a moment. Meeting up with Oishi, who was fighting with the enemy, was by far the safer option. But he couldn't just lose sight of the fleeing man. Akasaka stood up and chased after the captor's bag. He ran through a short thicket, branches and fallen leaves crunching underfoot. The tips of branches raked and clawed at him, small scratches inscribing themselves on his body one after another. That's the type of there. He kept on stepping into puddles and mud, and his shoes were soon filled with murky water. For Akasaka, traveling through this unexplored forest was, even though this was an emergency situation, extremely unpleasant.
Tomare!
Stop!
警察だ!
This is a police! As he said that, he regretted it immediately, as it was but a waste of breath. There wasn't a thief in the world that would politely stop when told to by the police. To a city boy like Akasaka, running through this forest was an arduous task. However, it must have been no easy task either for the man carrying the minister's grandson. He neither gained nor lost ground in his pursuit. Akasaka, upon realizing that, gained back a bit of composure. Just keep on chasing him. We're running in the same conditions. In fact, the man running with an awkward stride was at far more of a disadvantage. They couldn't run forever. Eventually, he'd definitely trip and fall. As long as he was being hounded, he would definitely stumble. And soon, his wish was fulfilled. The man, who had stepped in something and lost his balance, was no longer able to bear the weight of the boy dropping. Akasaka, in all honesty, didn't care about the perpetrator at all, just as long as he could ensure the safety of Inukai Toshiki. So if the perpetrator ran off by himself, it was perfectly acceptable. But it seemed that Inukai Toshiki was important to the man as well, and didn't choose to just run away empty-handed. Akasaka didn't know what to do in this kind of situation. His first priority should be probably to ensure the safety of the boy, subduing his captor being less important. Grappling with the perpetrator wasn't something he planned on, but most likely it was either do or die. Akasaka's moment of indecision proved to be fatal. The man, aiming right between, or rather, for both of Akasaka's eyes, struck out with a jab. Not wanting that, Akasaka raised both his hands to shield his face. At that moment, the man kicked at his unguarded midsection. The pain almost felt like his vital organs were being squeezed out of his body, but he latched onto his opponent's leg. But his opponent didn't hesitate one bit. Leading with his seized foot, the man jumped at Akasaka, applying pressure and pushing him down. Akasaka was unable to withstand that and fell, but under no circumstances was he letting that leg go. The two men fell together in a tangled heap. The man was desperate to pull his leg free from Akasaka, but having fallen in an awkward position was unable to. The two of them rolled around on the ground, floundering about trying to gain an advantage. But Akasaka, who was holding onto his opponent's knee with both hands, and an opponent who had complete freedom to move his upper body, were in two completely different situations. The men gained a positional advantage on Akasaka, who was still latched onto his leg and couldn't move away, and pounded full force on his head with both his fists. Not only that, he found a rock nearby and beat it against Akasaka's skull. Jeez. The difference between being hit with a fist and being hit with a rock was vast. Akasaka quickly thought of letting go of the man's leg to free his hands to protect his head. But if he let go here, the man would get away. If he didn't dig in here, everything would be for naught. The boy he was trying to save was right there. He was going to save him and go back to Tokyo. If he could do that, then it was goodbye to this freakish village. Without looking, I could tell my forehead had split open with gushing blood. But I didn't let go of the man's leg. How could I? I won't let go.
When the man realized that no matter how much he beat my head, he was getting away, he used both his hands to grab my throat as if to crush my windpipe. I pulled my head back as a slight form of resistance, but it was of no use. The man's hands enveloped my neck and it began to crush it like a vice. It was less about the pain of not being able to breathe so much and was choking so hard I felt like I was going to throw up. I felt like my stomach was going to turn itself inside out, but I could only endure it. Darn it, darn it, darn it! My throat hurts. I will let go. Let go. I didn't want to be here. I wanted to resolve this and go back to Tokyo. Go back to Tokyo. I talked to Yukie. All about our unborn child. We were going to talk about our bright future. I had no intention of loosening my grip. However, it loosened just a bit, and the man's leg came free. The man kicked as hard as possible, and I tumbled backwards. My head was spinning, and I was unable to get up right away. No, I couldn't even put any strength into getting up in the first place. Even so, I couldn't back down. If I let him escape now, this chance would never come again. Even just catching their scent was nothing short of a miracle. If we weren't able to get the minister's grandson back here, there wouldn't be another chance. The man tried to drag the boy to his feet, but the kid was displaying some unexpected resistance, allowing me to get up unnoticed. I grasped the rock the man had just beat me over the head with. Now it's my turn. The rock should be able to supplement what meager strength I had left, adding more than enough power to my attack. My fist still wrapped around the rock, dug into the side of the man's torso. It seems like it hurt him quite a bit. The man rolled around for a bit, clutching his side. Freed from the man's grip, the boy hid behind me.
Inukai Toshiki-kun だね。
Inukai Toshiki, right?
君を助けに来た。
I've come to help you. To the boy, those were the words he was waiting for the most. But the crisis was still not over. That was because even though he was still clutching at his side, the man had gotten up again and had taken a fighting stance. I could see in the man's eyes the resentment of the pain I had caused him, the confidence that he could still beat me. If we were to clash head-on again, he might not even stop if my head were split open.
これ以上抵抗するな。
Stop resisting!
おとなしく降参しろ。
Surrender quietly!
てめえこそ小僧をこっちへよこすんな。
You should just hand the boy over!
首の骨をへし折られていか。
You want me to snap your neck?
誰が貴様の言いなりになどなるものか。
Who would listen to you now?
もうじき応援が到着する。
Reinforcements are already on their way!
貴様らに逃げ場などない。
There's nowhere for you to run! The man reacted adversely to the word reinforcements. That was because he now knew that arguing like this wasn't just a waste of time, but put him closer and closer to danger. Realizing that the man shifted mental gears almost too quickly.
なら手っ取り早く済ませるぜ。
Now let's finish this fast!
こいつならどうだよ。
How about this? What the man pulled from his back pocket was, of all things, a gun. Of course, I'm a police officer. It's not like I don't know what a gun is. But having one pointed at me was something I had never experienced before. Was it real? Of course it was. There's no way I'd be a replica in a situation like this.
おとなしく両手を頭の上で組んで、そこにうつ伏せになるんだよ。
Put both your hands behind your head and lay down quietly.
ついに乗るな悪党。
Don't get cocky, you villain.
誰がお前に従うか。
I won't do anything you say.
クソバカが。
Are you stupid idiot?
撃たれなきゃこいつの恐ろしさがわからねえかよ。
Do you not know what this is without me shooting you with it?
なら撃ってみろ。
Then shoot.
貴様の銃声で応援がここに駆けつけるぞ。
Reinforcements will hear the gunshot and head right over here.
バカが。
Are you stupid?
森の中で、しかもこの雨だぞ。
We're in the middle of the forest and on top of that it's raining.
銃声など書き消える。
Never hear a thing. As long as he still held that gun, no matter how much I yelled at him, I was at a distinct disadvantage. But I still had a fighting chance. If I were in his shoes, instead of wasting time yelling at each other like this, I would just shoot him and take the boy. That way was the fastest, and would suppress any sort of further resistance from him. But the man was demanding my surrender without having fired a shot, meaning that he either didn't want to shoot or couldn't. In other words, the man in front of me was soft. If I could buy even just a little more time, the factors that would lead to my victory were numerous. Oishi was probably on his way, and the reinforcements we called for before coming here should already be on their way too. Not only that, they should have contacted the local police box. Without a doubt, somebody stationed in the village would be here much quicker than that.
クソ誰が。
Darn it!
撃たれなきゃこいつの怖さがわからねえかよ。
Do I have to put a bullet in you to understand how dangerous this thing is?
どうせ逃げられやしない。
There's no escape.
無駄に罪を重ねるな。
Don't add to your crimes. At that moment, I heard the rustling of foliage and heavy footsteps approaching. If Oishi was coming here, it was a whole new ballgame. The man couldn't have more than one gun.
おいさん
Oishi-san!
ここですここです
Over here! Over here! I had thought that time was on my side, but I had failed to even imagine the enemy could also have reinforcements. You could tell the man who had just appeared was one of the perpetrators just by looking at him.
何しよってんの
What are you doing?
はよせんとな警官来るんで
If you don't hurry up, the police will get here.
なん油売っとんしゃん
Stop lollygagging.
くそ
Darn it.
おいさんはどうしたってんだ
Darn it. What happened to Oishi-san?
あああんの樽男かい
That chubby fella?
落としたったら泡吹いとんよ
He's down for the count. We know that's not true because Akasaka was saying he was just going to meet Oishi 5 years later.
おいさんが
Or 7 years later, sorry. He is.
くそ
Darn it! The boy, sensitive to the impending danger, curled up behind my back. How could this be? Darn it!
期待してた相方は来ないってよ
Your buddy isn't coming.
ざまあねえぞ
Serves you right.
観念するのはてめえの方だ
Choose the other foot now! As I backed up against a large tree while still protecting the boy, the skin man also pulled out a gun.
2回しか言わんね
You won't be saying this twice.
頭抱えてそこにうつ伏せになるんよ
Put your hands on your head and lie down.
断る
I refuse! As I shouted in protest, blood erupted from my left shoulder. It took a few moments to register that I'd been shot. Compared to the ones from the movies and TV dramas, the first actual gunshot I heard was simple and mundane. In fact, the sound was more akin to the small fireworks I used to buy from the corner store as a kid. But there was no comparing the pain. It was a fear you knew only after you'd been shot. Sir? Are you okay? Are you okay? The boy, in his confusion, tugged at my clothes, agitating the wound even further. I wanted to put on a bold face and reassure him, but my voice was hoarse and had the opposite effect.
大丈夫
I'm alright.
すでに応援は要請してあるんだ
I've already called for backup.
すぐに警官隊が駆けつけてくれる
There'll be a full squad here soon.
警官が来る前にお前額にもっぱつくれちゃる方が早いんだ
It'll be quicker to poke one through your head before the cops get here. Typo.
無駄な殺生をすなっちゅう本家に言われとんか加減しとんね
But the family said no needless killing, so I'm taking it easy on you.
あんまり舐めとんと容赦せんとよ
Don't mess with me or I ain't holding back. This was bad. It was very, very bad. The second man was a completely different beast than the first. He had no signs of indecisiveness or mercy. If this man said he'd shoot, he'd shoot. He was somebody that a man like me could buy time from. I really hated to admit it, but at that moment the image of Hiki's smiling face crossed the back of my mind. I knew what that meant. I was warning myself to not throw my life away over a matter of pride. Of course, I didn't want to die here. I was just starting a new life with Yukie, and I wanted to see the face of her soon-to-be-born child. Why should I risk my life for some minister's grandson when it was at such a critical juncture in my own life? Ah, darn it! Darn it! I need to stop rambling at myself. So what do I do now? Give up a boy and extend my own life? What a good idea. Everybody's life is precious. My own life was in danger. Nobody would blame me. Gosh darn it. It hurts. It hurts! If I had known it would be this painful, I would have played the tough guy. My biggest miscalculation, though, was that the sound of the gunshot was far quieter than I had imagined. If it was only that loud, it would be drowned out by the rain in the forest. Was it something that somebody far away could hear?
くそ
Darn it!
待てよ待ってくれよ
Wait, just wait.
死にたくないよ
I don't want to die.
あんこっちだって死なせとうない
Yeah, and I don't want to kill you.
分かればええん分かれば
As long as you understand.
撃つなよ
Not shoot, okay?
撃つなよ
Not shoot.
帰りを待ってる妻がいるんだ
I have a wife waiting for me at home.
死にたくないんだよ
I don't want to die.
叫ばんとでも歌んね
I won't shoot as long as you don't yell or nothing.
おとなしゅう頭抱えてうつ伏せになったら歌んだるね
Just quietly put your hands on your head and lie down.
本当だろうな
Will you really?
本当だろうな。
Will you really?
約束は守れよ。絶対だぞ。
You'll keep your promise, right?
男と男の約束だぞ。
There's a promise between men.
守ったの。
I will.
男と男の約束し合えよ。
It's a promise between men.
守れよ。守れよ。
Keep your promise. Keep it.
じゃあ、うつ伏せになるからな。
I'm gonna get down on the ground, okay?
なるからな。
I'm getting down.
約束守るんだから。銃を向けるのやめろよ。
I'll keep my promise and stop pointing that gun at me.
やっぱ撃つ気なんだろ。
There's nothing of shooting me, aren't you?
撃つ気なんだろ。
You wanna shoot me, don't you?
俺が撃つついになったら後頭部を撃つ気なんだろ。
When I get down on the ground, you're just gonna shoot me in the back of the head, aren't you?
撃たんね撃たんね。
I won't, I won't.
わかった。
Fine.
しまってる。
I'll put it away.
銃はしまってる。
I'll put the gun away.
男と男の約束し合わね
It's a promise between men.
え。どんな。
There.
これなら文句ないんて。
No problem now, right?
ねえ、極めて文句ないですよ。
Yeah, absolutely no complaints.
It was over in a flash. The moment he lowered his gun, Oishi didn't let his chance slip by. Oishi had been assessing the situation for quite some time from behind the two men. But since they had their guns trained on me, he didn't really have a chance to jump in. Seeing the look on Oishi's face indicating they were wanting me to create an opening, I took on that role completely. Oishi forcefully lifted the arm that was holding the gun. He then took the gun from the man's hand in only an instant. The other man, who was a bit slow in grasping what was happening, pointed his gun at the move with his ally grappling with Oishi. He couldn't pull the trigger. If that man was the one who was wrestling with Oishi at the moment, he might have shot without hesitation. But this man wouldn't shoot. He couldn't shoot. Oishi kicked the other man away, and while aiming the stolen gun with his left hand, pulled out his own. With guns akimbo, he was aiming at both men at the same time.
大手飛車取りってとこですかね。
I do believe that's checkmate.
It was perfectly played. But heedless of the guns pointed at them, the men shouted "Scram!" as they scattered away at full speed. It was over in an instant. Those two running away without putting up a fight was honestly unexpected. Oishi, quietly clicking his tongue in admonishment, slipped both guns into his pants pockets.
あいつらもよく知ってるな。
Those guys know their stuff.
何をですか。
What do you mean?
逃げてる背中を警官は撃てませんからね。
An officer won't fire at somebody who's fleeing.
Again, different in America.
私も退職金が惜しいもんで。
I want to keep my pension.
Oishi and I grinned at each other.
君が犬飼俊樹君？
Are you Inukai Toshiki?
犬飼検察大臣のお孫さん？
The grandson of the Minister of Construction, Inukai.
They're all pronouncing it Inukai. All the voice actors. They should have clarified this.
はい。
Yes.
こりゃでかい事件になるかな。
This is going to be a major incident, huh?
どうせトカゲの尻尾切りになるんでしょうけどね。
We probably only cut the tail off the lizard, though.
Oishi smiled amusedly. The fact that the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance, or rather the Sonozaki family behind them, was pulling the strings was apparent, but proving it wouldn't be easy. And with apologies to Oishi, this incident was unlikely to go public. If this caused an uproar, it would obviously lead to the minister losing his office. With HQ having decided that doing so was in their national interest, this would probably be cleaned up quietly. It might be a rough way of saying it, but this was born in the shadows and was going to die in the shadows. Oishi probably already understood the implications behind this incident.
とにかく非常線を張らせましょう。
For the time being, let's cordon off the area.
連中まだ一丁は拳銃を持ってるようですからね。
It seems that one of them still has a gun.
それから犬飼君を保護して赤坂さんはすぐに病院に行かないと。
After that, let's get Inukai-kun to safety and get you to hospital.
As the tension in the situation faded, the pain from the gunshot wound in my shoulder blossomed once again. My forehead was also stinging painfully, it grown hot enough to start a fire. Thinking the tension had caused me to sweat, I wiped my forehead. But what came off was a large amount of blood. I realized that my shirt had been stained bright crimson from the blood flowing from my head. I turned around. The boy was safe and sound. Without a doubt. There would probably be an investigation of the men who ran, but that was for another day. At this point in time, I could safely say we had cleared the major hurdle of securing the boy's safety. As soon as I recognized that, it felt like the lights in my head had been hit by a power failure. My knees buckled from underneath me, the ground there feeling as soft as a cloud. It didn't feel unpleasant even as I was covered in the rain-soaked mud. She came closer, asking if I was okay, but somehow I couldn't tell. I turned off the switch, the last light in my head. The exhaustion enveloped me. Sleep. Something softer than a blanket wrapped around me. Please end the chapter here.
Higurashi no Naku Koro ni Himatsubushi-hen. You have received a new tip. A very kind person. Achievement unlocked. Mission accomplished. Made a daring rescue.
Alright, so let's save it here. And we'll end it here. Alright. So this was fun. We're gonna continue this Thursday. I have no idea what we're doing tomorrow since I rage quit Amnesia. Yeah, I'll have to figure tomorrow out. To be announced. So join the Discord for notifications of what we're doing tomorrow. I'll put that link in chat, so anybody who wants to join can be invited. It's also on my the link is also on my YouTube channel description if it's easier to do it that way. So thank you so much for watching, everyone, and as always, if you like what you see, please feel free to click like, comment, join our Discord if you haven't. Any feedback you can give me all will help me tailor my future content towards your interests. I'm Regulus Pastor, and until next time, Wale!